Good. All right, Shalom. We are the Hebrew Israelites. We come out week in and week out to prophesy the downfall of America, which is Babylon the Great according to the scriptures, as well as spiritual Egypt, Sodom, Gomorrah, Nineveh. All right, and to also preach to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and to tell you that you're the Israelites according to the Bible, and to repent for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Wakakadash. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And grace and peace to you elect around the four winds, believing and pushing this truth in all sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. All right, once again, through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, we are here another week, all right, to prophesy the downfall of America, all right, and to warn you Israelites of the impending judgment that's coming, all right, because great judgment is coming to America, all right, for all the wickedness that is perpetuated throughout the four corners of the globe. Can we start off with Romans 13 and 11 and Ephesians 5, starting at verse 14, about the shot.
All right, Romans chapter 13 and verse 11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep.
Right, knowing the time, it's not high time to awake out of sleep. The scriptures say in Ecclesiastes, if you can get it, the 3rd chapter, that there's a time and a purpose of everything under the sun, man. Roughly paraphrasing. All right, and the time that we're living in is the time of war. All right, we're living in the time of hate. All right, we're living in the time of the rebuilding of the tabernacle of David.
Right.
All right, the downfall of America. This is the time that we're living in. And so in seeing that we're living in these times, it's high time to awake out of sleep. All right, woke culture is a facade when it comes to this truth. It can't hold a candle to this truth, because woke culture doesn't tell you your heritage. Woke culture doesn't tell you the will of the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son. Woke culture is rooted on the foundation of America, man, keeping America established. All right, which is utter foolishness, man. That's folly. America must go. In order for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians to be liberated, America has to go, man. There is no sovereignty under American rule. There is no sovereignty under the American hegemony, man. For you Israelites, it just won't happen. This place has to go. You got it, bro.
So Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 1. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die.
Right, and right now we're in the time to die, all right, according to this world, man. Put off that old man and be reborn through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. That's the time we're in right now. You got it.
A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted.
And right now, the time that the Lord is planting, all right, those seeds of truth within His elect, all right, and plucking up those fruits of unrighteousness, man. You know, the Lord is plucking up those unfruitful seeds that were planted in us growing up here in America, man. You got it.
A time to kill and a time to heal.
Right, the time to kill. Right, we're in the time of killing off that old man. The time of healing up the Lord's elect, rebuilding the tabernacle of David, man. All right, preaching liberty to the captives. You know, giving that healing ointment unto the elect, which is the words of truth. You got it.
A time to break down and a time to build up.
Right now, we're breaking down strongholds. All right, pursuing the 2 Corinthians, the 10th chapter. We're breaking down strongholds and bringing every thought unto the obedience of Hamashiach. That's exactly what time we're in right now, man. All right, breaking down these strongholds, building up the tabernacle of David, building up the Lord's elect for the time to come. All right, and that building up is happening around the four corners of the globe. Each brother that you see out in the highways and byways, week in and week out, that's the tabernacle of David, man. All right, those are the men that the Lord called, man, to be pillars in the earth. Lord willing, we're of that chosen. You know, so what we see on the four corners is no light matter. All right, brothers standing on the corner is no light matter. This is heavy, man. Because every time brothers come out, there's a piece of Babylon that's destroyed with each lesson, man. With each lesson, Babylon is crumbling, man. There's gravity in the words that the Lord put in the mouths of His servants, man.
It said the time to heal, the time to heal. We're killing off false philosophy, false doctrine. We are killing off plantation Christianity, man. Okay? I'll tell you what, 2 Corinthians 10. Let me read it real quick.
I'll read this again. This Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 3. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up.
Right. So that's 2 Corinthians chapter 5, reading the point. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God, which is the philosophies of Esau Edom. and bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of a Mashiach. So this truth, let me tell you a second, Ezra 6 and 27.
I got it.
Okay, you got it.
Second Ezra chapter 6 and verse 27. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome. And the truth, which hath been so long without fruit, shall be declared.
Right. Get this. Psalms 85 and 10. Mercy and truth are met together. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven. I got one more and you got it. That was our Psalm 85 and 11. This is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 14, dealing with how we're casting down all the imagination against Yahweh Shema Shah. Habakkuk 2 and 14, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of Yahweh Shema Shah as the waters cover the sea. Shalom, man.
You read that one more time, Dr. Shah?
Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 14, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of Yahweh Shema Shah as the waters cover the sea.
Right, and the truth has filled the earth with knowledge, man. Like it says in Daniel 12th chapter, knowledge has increased. And with this knowledge increasing, we're seeing these prophecies starting to kick off around the four corners of the globe. The reason why we're seeing all hell breaking loose, the reason why we're seeing iniquity increasing, the reason why we're seeing these end time prophecies starting to speak, all right, even screaming these latter days, is because truth has encompassed the whole earth. All right, through where the unicorn that the Lord set up, the internet that the Lord set up, all right, ultimately for his word to be preached, all right, and these highways and byways, man. Through these avenues, the Lord set up truth to flourish on the earth.
There's John chapter 3 and verse 19, and this is the condemnation, that light is coming to the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil.
Right, and this is why the majority of these so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians are going to perish on this side, man. Because the light has been presented. And the light is being presented daily. At this point, the light is being presented daily, on a constant basis, on a 24/7 basis. But men love darkness rather than light because their deeds are evil. You know, this place, this valley of the shadow of darkness allows you to be that inner demon. It allows you to fulfill your lust. It promotes you to fulfill your lust. And for the most part, people don't have control over that flesh. You know, they weren't given the tools to control that flesh like we were through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai. So they're given to these things. They're given to wine. They're given to drugs. They're given to entertainment. They're given to folly. Why? Because they love darkness, man. That darkness, it appeals to them. It appeals to that inner demon. Because the majority of people on the earth today were born in vain. They're demons, man. And the true spirits of these people is getting ready to show, man. The Lord is getting ready to show the true spirits of everybody on the earth. And you're going to see that these people that was walking around, they truly were demons, man. This is the same generation that said to Yahushua, that said in Yahushua's time, you know, let his blood be upon us and our children. Sacrifice Yahushua, give us Barabbas. This is the same generation, man. So they have to pay for those crimes that they committed, man. You know, and those inner demons are going to start to show. All right, because men love darkness rather than light. You got it?
I got one for you. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14. And I'll start at 22. Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of the Most High. But whereas they live in the great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace.
And these people call these plagues peace. They call this Roe versus Wade peace. They call this CERN, this whole thing that's going on with the CERN, all right, peace. They call abortion peace. They call the alphabet community, that whole agenda, they call that peace. They call all these great iniquities that's on the earth peace because they love to live in this great war of ignorance. Like the old saying goes, ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. But at this point, the Lord said, what's that in 2 Timothy? I believe, there is no cloak. No. That's the water. But at this point in time, man, there is no cloak for the people's sins, man. There is no cloak. There is no excuse for the people to be ignorant, man. Because the truth has been preached in every language. The truth has been preached every day, whether day or night. So you can see it where you're at work, you're at the crib, You out playing games, you out doing whatever you do, you can watch the truth, man. You can be enlightened, man. The Lord has set this truth up like that. So there is no excuse for people to be ignorant at this point. But like the brother read, people love darkness rather than light. They shy away from this light. As soon as they see it, they're like, I don't want to deal with that. Because when you deal with this truth, it forces you to have some sort of accountability, man. It forces you to deal with reality. And for the most part, people don't want to deal with reality because reality sucks. Reality sucks. You got to go to a 9 to 5 for the rest of your life and break your back for another man so he can say to his children, you don't got to go to work.
Right.
You building up his enterprise so that maybe not, maybe he'll keep you, maybe he'll fire you. You just don't know. Then you got to deal with the different affairs of the dating life out here, man, in America, which is basically a whore culture. Then you got to deal with the niggas, the goons, the goblins that come up against you. The reality sucks, man. Under the rule of the so-called white man, reality sucks. And for the most part, people don't want to deal with reality. That's why they indulge themselves in the drink. That's why they come out here and they live for Saturdays. They live for Sundays. Because this is the only type of release they get here in America. Because when Sunday comes, you got to go right back to the plantation and do it all over again.
It's John 15:22. If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin. But now they have no cloak for their sin.
Right. These people don't have no cloak for their sins anymore. Why? Because the word is preached. Yahweh Shai is speaking unto us through the mouthpiece of his prophets. So there is no cloak for people's sins anymore. All right, this word, you know. All right, hell, my grandmother know about the truth, and she don't have no form of internet. She lived damn near in the Stone Age. She don't have no internet, no TV. She live out in the sticks, and she know about the truth. So there is no excuse for the people for not knowing about this truth, man. There is no excuse for you to be ignorant in these times, man. There is no excuse.
Yeah, but that's what Esau does. He puts out so much disinformation that people can't tell the real from the fake. That's why the scriptures call it a great war of ignorance. And Isaiah the 60th chapter calls this gross darkness. Because it's so much, you shouldn't be a 40-year-old man and still don't know what death is and why people die. You shouldn't get to a 40 or 30 or 20 and find out what death is all about. Because some people go to the grave with no knowledge. Right? And that's a problem within itself, that the rulers of this world will make it so hard for people to find out what truth actually is. That's a problem. But Esau has taught our people that as long as you got a good job and you can go and brag to your family about how much more you got than them, then you good. Never mind the average Negro, Latino, or Native American that's suffering. As long as you got your own, that's what Esau has taught our people. So they're completely ignorant to knowledge because they're so busy chasing what Esau has told them is success, man.
Right. And this is why the proper rulers have to be set in place. Because there's a reason why truth has to be established. There's a reason why a kingdom has to be established on truth. It's because, just as the scripture said in the book of Galatians, the truth shall make you free. And so when you rule a society off of lies, the people are essentially in bondage. And you have a kingdom of slaves. You have a kingdom of degenerates.
Yeah, that's perfect. You got a kingdom of degenerates. As the scriptures say, as the judges, so is the people. And Esau's a decrepit demon, man. All his power to fix things in the world, and they choose to destroy it, man. That shows you that they don't belong in rulership. And the brother brought out a beautiful point. Imagine growing up with this truth. Imagine growing up in a family where your father knew the truth. Your whole family, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans knew the truth. And you grow up as a child knowing what death is, knowing about reincarnation, knowing what's clean meat and unclean meat. Knowing that as a child, that's your education. Instead, you go into the food system for 12 years and then you come out an indoctrinated slave. So much so that when life and light is presented to you, you reject it. You got that?
St. John chapter 8, verse 44. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar, and the father of it.
Right. And these people, their father, they of the devil, man. They are not of the truth. The majority of our people are not of the truth.
2/3 of our people, they have the spirit of, what's the word for it? degenerate,
Yeah,
degeneracy.
Yeah.
The spirit of Esau.
And they embrace that spirit, man. They don't look at it as something that they need to improve on or set off, you know, as some type of generational curse. Our people get deeper and deeper into degeneracy, man. The more money these people and the more money you give a Negro, the more degenerate he'll become, man.
Look at these guys like Future. All of Jake trying to be like Future. And these are demons. Like, these guys are literally using their money to afflict their own people. They buy burner phones and put hits on people in their own hood because they kingdom is threatened. They still selling dope. They just using their homeboys to do it. This is what happens when you give niggas money.
Right.
That's why the Lord's gonna remove 2/3 of our people. The elders in Dallas were talking about this. Jake has been institutionalized, man. In the spirit, Jake has become a better criminal in this system. We were sent here for correction, but Jake has become a worse individual in this system of correction. The world has been turned into a prison, and this is maximum. And Jake, instead of being corrected and acknowledging their offense, like it says in Isaiah the 5th chapter, they continue to walk on in darkness, and they glorify it, man. These guys will go, they'll sell 4 or 5 million albums sold, 4 or 5 million singles sold, off of talking about having sex with another man's woman, because he ain't got the same amount of money as you. That's the kind of culture that our people have promoted in this society, man. That's why 2/3 gotta go, man.
Yeah. Because they've taken on the spirit of Esau Edom. They give our people false hope. Because what that does to the younger Jakes in the community, it makes them look up to them. Now they want to be rappers. Now they want to be entertainers and jesters. And so instead of seeking after knowledge, you know, instead of seeking after truth, they seeking after being the next big thing, man, the next big entertainer.
And you know the proof of the power and influence that these guys have over our people? You got a lot of our own Jakes walking around with masks on in 90, 100-degree weather, man. Talking about they got ops. And most of them don't really have any enemies. They just want to fit in. So Esau is giving our people this promotion of glorifying wickedness, and Jake think that that's the way to go. There's a way that seemeth right to a man, but the end thereof is death, man. You got it.
Jeremiah chapter 5 verse 28. They are waxing fat, they shine, yea, they overpass the deeds. Yea, they overpass the deeds of the wicked.
Yeah, because when you think about rock and roll with the Edomites, they don't get on every song and talk about fucking another man's woman. Excuse my French. That's Jake. They get on there and talk about hotels, and they're kind of coded better. Jake just go out and just let you know how much of a dirtbag they are, man. Like that's how you know 2/3 of our people gotta go, man. They gotta go. They're not right, man. And this is what they do with liberty. We ain't in chattel slavery no more. Now you can pick which slave master you want to. You can pick which plantation. And Jake chooses they use their freedom and abuse it, man, to be more wicked. Which is what they did in the ancient world, man. That's why 2/3 gotta go. And anybody who want to stay here and continue here, you're not right, man. There's no wisdom in you, man. You want your children to live through some shit like this? Growing up in a world with transformers, teaching your kid, like, that's off, man. You got it.
They judge not the cause of the fatherless, yet they prosper, and the right of the needy do they not judge.
Right, and our people have waxing fat, man. You know, just like it says in the book of Deuteronomy, just want to wax fat and kick, man. You know, the more and more the liberty the Lord gave our people, the more and more they wax fat, the more and more they wax proud and kicked against the Lord, man. And this is why the judgment is necessary. This is why the judgment has to come, man. Because if the judgment don't come, our people won't learn, man. They'll just dive deeper and deeper and deeper into this wickedness, man, into this degenerate culture that they've created, man.
And could you imagine the next generation having children?
Finished.
And they children having children? Like, this is already bad, but imagine, it only gets worse. Every generation only gets worse. Because now Esau has complete control over our people, man. And this is why the Lord is going to loose the captives who seek to be freed, man. We live in a society where our people be afraid of wanting freedom. And if you ask for freedom, if you tell our people, look, we're not free, they look at you like something wrong with you. You got it up.
You have that, this whole thing?
I can get whatever you need.
After you get yours, give Baruch 3 and start at 24.
chapter 3 and verse 24, O Israel.
Hold on. Start at verse 8. Select.
Baruch chapter 3, verse 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse.
Right, and this is why we're here. All right, we're here for a reproach, man, for us to amend our ways. We are yet this day in our captivity. When you try to tell our people that, it's some foreign concept to them. No, we're free. I could get any job I want to. I could go anywhere I want to when I got my passport. That's not freedom, man. You're supposed to be able to roam the earth without a passport. You're supposed to be able to have your own resources, man. Have your own wealth. Be able to govern your own family without Esau, Edom intervening, man. What we have here is not freedom. It's survival at best. And we were sent here as a reproach. This is not our rest.
You got it? You want more on that?
That was the whole paragraph.
I read it, dude. This is Baruch chapter 3 and verse 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our power.
That was it, man. You got it.
This is back in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14. And I'll continue at I'll start at 22 again. Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of the Most High. But whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace. All this information they have access to, and most people use their phone for TikTok and Instagram. This is the great war of ignorance. All this access to information, and you know what they use it for? They use it to watch Netflix, to watch the NBA finals. All manners of folly, man. And that's why they got to be cut off. Continuing, it says, verse 23, for whilst they slew their children in sacrifices, or used secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites, they kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled. And that's what happens downtown Orlando every weekend and week. Defiled marriages, man. Everybody walking around with this domestic prostitution that they call dating.
Right.
I'm gonna take on. She should let me hit by then. Then I'll see what she's talking about. That ain't how this is supposed to go. Marriage and sex was designed for procreation, to have children. Not to pretend and play house for 6 months and then come back downtown to find some dummy to do the same thing with you until you get too old and nobody wants you. That's why the scriptures talk about being given to your own lust. You end up destroying yourself. It may not happen on the front end, but the back end is always worse than the front end, man. That's what the Lord is teaching us right now, though. Because the Lord said we are judges, so what are we learning? We're learning why you gotta follow the law, statutes, and commandments. And we're learning it the hard way. Every aspect of our life is a reminder of us going off. Every part of our life. If you drove from here 2 blocks down, you will see something that'll remind you how we went off. How we forsook the Lord, and the commandments of the Lord is not implemented in the earth, man. Concrete. Having water bottles. Where they do that at? They had wells. Having to work for food. In the ancient world, your work was your home. You went out, planted fields, you planted vineyards. If you needed something, you went out to the market, but you ain't have to leave. Water. But you ain't have to leave. If you ain't want to leave your land, you could stay there and grow crops and sustain yourself. Now we live in a society where they'll fine you for growing food. But Jake is convinced that this is our rest, man. You got it, right? You want it? Yeah. Continuing, it says, verse 25, so that there reigned in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, theft, and dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults, perjury, disquieting of good men. And perjury, that goes into no snitching. You know, Jake, you know them songs. I ain't snitching on I do 100 years for my dog. Knowing damn well he did it. And that's against the law, man. That's a lack of integrity. And Jake go platinum doing everything that the Lord told us not to do, man. It says, verse 26, disquieting of good men, forgetfulness of good terms, defiling of souls, changing of kind, disorder in marriages, adultery, and shameless uncleanliness.
And this is the kind of culture that's breeded when you have these type of rulers, man. All right, when you have these type of rulers that's set in place, all right, this is the type of culture that you get. All right, you get a culture of complete degeneracy, a culture of complete chaos. And this is why every day is a showcase of why the Lord has to come back. Because if the Lord doesn't come back, 3-4 generations from now, it'll be no flesh to save, man. You have your sons and daughters to be out here, moles, transformers, all that, man. And that'll be the new norm.
It is. And we was talking about this last week, how a lot of things that we look at as abominable to the children that's growing up in this society, that shit just normal. Having Transformers go to the library and teach on Wednesdays, that's just a normal Wednesday for them. There's nothing abominable about the world that they live in. And that goes into that really lynch of always going for the next generation. They always go to corrupt the next generation so that they'll have children and pass on the same corruption. You got it all.
This is 2 Timothy chapter 3. It says, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection.
And it says men shall become lovers of themselves. And you know what gives them the avenue and the platform to do that? Social media. Facebook, Instagram, this gives them an ability to be lovers of themselves, to be idols. Yeah, I'm about to go live. Yeah, what's up, Doug? Yeah, I'm right around the corner about to hit the quick stop. Yeah. And Jake sit around the earth all day playing around. Meanwhile, Esau's playing for keeps. And Jake about to find that out the hard way. See, right now, what people see right now, it's not going to stay like this. It's going to turn up. Even now, it's turning up in certain places. You got California talking about food shortages. Truckers, out of all people, are losing their jobs. Telling them, hey, they tell them, go home. We don't know when we're going to call you back. Good luck on your bills. But we ain't got nothing for you. That's the time that we coming into it. In the midst of that, our people are the main ones walking around the earth, playing spades, playing around. Like shit is a game. Drinking Czech sodas, pretending like we all good and it's gonna be like this forever, man. Wearing American flag, t-shirts and shorts. Riding around, laughing and playing and giggling, shooting firecrackers off. Like this shit is sweet. That's why the Lord said that those of our people, all right, who will not return to the Lord are going to have to learn through death by pain, man. Because if this wasn't enough for you, the only other solution is death.
Back in 2 Timothy chapter 3 and 2, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters.
And covetous. When you go downtown, when you look at your average club, for brothers who haven't been to the club in a long time, I haven't been, but the last time I've been, they have what you call a VIP section, right? And they get to sit above everybody else, and the sparkles come. And they get to look down from the balcony and look down at the peasants. Because they paid 5 times worth what a bottle's actually worth in a liquor store. And then you got Jake who in there with his hoodie on, ice grilling. And then they all covetous. Everybody plotting on each other. That's our people, man. And they listen to music that promote it. Yeah, I caught him slipping. I caught him lacking. For real? Yeah, I caught him lacking. They walk around with these ski masks on like it's a game. Jake embody glorifying wickedness. And it ain't never to any other nation but each other. Niggas in the corner store shooting it out. In a corner store. Niggas buying cigarillos and shooting it out. And then trying to get their cigarillos before they leave. After they just shot somebody, man. That's 2/3 of our people right now. Or they'll kill somebody and make a record about it. Put it on SoundCloud. Police don't even gotta do their job no more, man. This is 2/3 of our people, man. For those who don't understand why the Lord don't have no love for 2/3 of our people when he said pray not for them. This is what they did when the Lord gave them mercy. Niggas woke up today and all they did was wickedness. rolled up a blunt and went straight head first to the left-hand side, man.
And you got to keep in mind, it's not just this lifetime, it's many lifetimes. This is what they always do, man. This is what 2/3 of our people always do. The Greek captivity, the Roman captivity. All right,
Split, man.
Since it's split.
Ain't solid.
This is what they've always done, man. They've always waxed fat against their Lord. They've always kicked. They've always waxed deeper and deeper into a culture of covetousness, man. Adultery, blaspheming the Lord, man. Following after these other idols. They've always done this, man. And the Lord is tired of it. The Lord calls 2/3 of our people smoking his nose. When you got a smoke in your nose, you trying to get that thing out of there, man. You ain't gonna sit there with smoke in your nose while you're on the grill. You're gonna back up, man. You know, and fan it away. And the Lord's getting ready to fan 2/3 of our people off the planet Earth, man. Through way of judgment. That was it on mine.
I was gonna say, Solomon said that out of all the women, he found no righteous women in his kingdom. So that means these thoughts, these FNL Fridays and all these city girls, they wanted to be city girls back then with fringes on. They just ain't had a liberty to do it. Think about that. King Solomon said out of all the women in ancient Israel, bro, they grew up knowing the laws. He ain't find none of them righteous. They was all doing it. I don't want nobody to storm me. I ain't trying to. But if I had it my way, I would wear Daisy Dukes and be out here.
Hey, like the brother said, they didn't have that liberty back then.
Nope.
So them same thoughts, Esau gave them liberty. Now they running wild, man.
Because back in those days, judgment was in place.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you had those wicked thoughts, it was immediately checked. I'm gonna get stoned for that
You
shit.
didn't want a chance.
Yeah.
You ain't about to take no chance. She might have thought about it, but she's like, man, I just saw such and such get stoned last week.
I don't
And
want
they
none
took
of
their time with her. They were so mad at her. Because that's how, hey, okay. You wanna, let brothers find out you don't, okay. Nah, don't hit it in the head, hit it in the legs first. Yeah. We gonna make a show out of this one. So all other women know you want to be a city girl, this is what happened to city girls. Because they thought about doing it, but Esau gave them the battery in their back and the liberty to do it.
Right.
And that's why in ancient Israel he found no righteous women. So in this world, what should you expect?
Right.
Because now they got liberty to gad abroad, and the scriptures tell us not to do that, man. You know?
Let me read this
Real quick,
He got it.
y'all want to grab yours?
Hey, the Lord said he's gonna give these women 2/3 of Jake men and women over to their thoughts, man. Whatever you meditate on, whatever you think about in wickedness, hey, the Lord said he's gonna give you over to that, man.
Jeremiah chapter 5 and 26. For among my people are found wicked men. They lay await as he that setteth snares. They set a trap. They catch men. As a cage is full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit. Therefore they are become great and waxen rich. They are waxen fat. They shine, yea, they overpass the deeds of the wicked.
And 2/3, and the Lord say, men is doing this, how much more for the lesser spirit women, the weaker vessels, man. What it say that through the woman came the beginning of sin, right? And through her we all die. What that? First Ezra 4:26, man. Men run out of their wits for women, man. Right? So if 2/3 of our men wicked, what it say about the women? It's over. And that's why King David, that's why Solomon said what he said, man. You got it. That was it on that. So go ahead.
They judge not the cause of the fatherless,
Right.
yet they prosper. And the right of the needy do they not judge.
And if I may say this, man, this is why the judgment has to come hard on 2/3 of our people, because the most crafty devil looks like you, man. Because he knows how you speak. He know your culture. He know how you like to get down. So it's easy. You have a more innate trust with a Jake. You know, you trust them easier than you trust Esau. So that's why the Lord has to come down on 2/3 of our people, especially the ones that are noble amongst our people, who give our people a false hope. You know, who pimp out the souls of our people, man.
Right.
Because that's what they doing, man. They pimping out our people, man.
And that's when you think about it, all this shit our people chasing is only to exploit each other. When you think about what music is today, it's exploitation. I'ma convince these niggas to crash out and take as many drugs as possible while I shop at Whole Foods and go to the suburbs. That's when you. There was an interview with this guy Future, and one of them rappers said, "Look, he don't even do them drugs like that. They say he a light drinker. He don't even do them, but he'll tell the next man, hey,
Go throw you some Molly and some syrup.
man, the song called Molly.
Sir.
The whole song called Molly and Percocet.
Hey, but if I may say this, man, it's the mindset of our people is so fucked up at this point. It's like they know these things, they see these things, they see Future shopping at Whole Foods, they see the interviews, but still in their mind, it's well, if I make it, I can do the same thing. No, that's the only way out of this predicament. I gotta make it.
Catch men, like that precept brought out. These guys are in the business of catching their own people. Jacob glorified Jay-Z, but this man ain't get rich and buy grocery stores. Give you niggas healthy food. Nigga got a liquor brand that you can't even afford. That if you bought it in the club, you already know what you're going home to. Jake can eat ramen noodles all week, just to ball for 3 hours, man. Then you got Jake that'll risk their whole life to look like the man for 3 summers and spend the next 40 in jail. Because they want to be these niggas so bad. And them niggas know that. So they catching their own people, man. And Jake is happy just being here with this. As long as I get a piece of it. I ain't worried. As long as my homie blow up,
Right.
and I can get a little taste of it. Nah, bro. You got that. That's crazy.
I read that again. The cause of the Slocky. I'm gonna start off at 28.
Might as well hit it again.
Come. They are waxing fat.
Start at 26 again.
Come. For among my people are found wicked men. They lay await as he that setteth snares. They set a trap. They catch men.
Right. It's saying as he that set a snare. It's talking about our people learning from Esau. Read it one more time.
This is Jeremiah chapter 5 and 26. For among my people are found wicked men.
Right.
They lay away
Right.
as he that setteth
As
snares.
he that set a snare. Esau is the fowler. Right? He set the traps. So Jacob learned the ways of Esau. And the Lord said in Proverbs 3 and 31, "Envy thou not the oppressor and choose none of his ways." But Jacob, because our people love to follow the heathen. Go ahead.
Come. They lay away as he that setteth snares. They set a trap. They catch men. As a cage is full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit. Therefore, they are become great and waxen rich. They are waxen fat. They shine, yea, they overpass the deeds of the wicked. They judge not the cause of the fatherless, yet they prosper, and the right of the needy do they not judge.
Ain't nobody telling TD Jakes and Creflo Dollar ain't telling you not to smoke weed. They ain't telling you not to commit adultery. Creflo Dollar said we shouldn't even follow the 10 Commandments. They ain't telling you these things. Go ahead.
Shall I not visit for these things, saith the Lord? Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? A wonderful and horrible thing is committed in the land. The prophets prophesy falsely,
There it is.
and the priests bear rule by their means,
And the Lord say what?
and my people love to have it so.
Jake love to have it so, man. They cool with it. That's those tell us smooth things. Tell us that we're gonna be good, we can prosper. Tell me I can smoke weed and commit adultery. That was it on that.
And what will ye do in the end thereof?
Right. What's he gonna do in the Lord? Hey, he said everyone that hate him, he's gonna judge them to his face, man. In Deuteronomy 7:9. This is Jeremiah 4:22. For my people is foolish, they have not known me, they are sottish children. They have none understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge.
And so Jacob tell you how, look, you gotta shave the pin off, and that's gonna make that shit automatic. Or you gotta have a trash bag over to catch all the shells.
Right.
Why I gotta catch? Oh, you gotta wear the gloves when you loading it up, cause
Right.
fingerprints. Oh, you you gotta, oh, you gotta put Vaseline on it so the smell go away. They got, Jake become a genius when it comes to liquor. You put Jake in one of those cages out here, and Jake get to learn how to be a better criminal, they come out and they wise to do evil. Yeah, you gotta have a burner phone. You can't just, hey, you gotta leave your phone at the crib. They can triangulate your city. Why you gotta, they wise to do evil, man. Jake really get into this shit, man. That's why the Lord gotta remove them, man. And this is what they doing with their liberty. The Lord let Esau take the chains off of Jake for them to do this. Now niggas riding around with challengers, wearing ski masks, laughing and giggling, smoking weed, popping perks. And this is what they would do to the end of time if you let them. They'll never reach a point where they're like, man, maybe we should go to the Lord. Maybe we should return to the Lord. Never. That's why they gotta be removed, man. And the Lord is allowing us to witness it. The Lord said, what's that in Isaiah 5 when it said judge between me and my vineyard? That's what we're doing right now. We're looking at our people and the Lord is like, look, I'm giving them the opportunity to come home. You see how they rocking. Your own family is proof. You done went to them and told them about not eating pork for 3-4 years now. And you still pop up and they got sausage on the plate. They gotta go, man. They gotta go.
In Isaiah chapter 59, verse 7, their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts are thoughts of iniquity. Wasting and destruction are in their paths. And like the brother was saying earlier, the same 2/3 today is the same 2/3 back then. The only difference is Esau pretty much gave them the liberty to be wicked.
They say their feet run to evil, man. It's Jake quick to run to evil, man. If it's evil in the midst, they want to do it. Because what this society promotes is to fulfill the lust of your 5 senses.
Right.
You know, Jake love what they can touch, see, smell, hear, and eat. You know, other than that, they don't want to deal with it, man. When it comes to the spiritual things, they don't want to deal with it. Because the spiritual things require a reflection upon yourself, man. You got to actually start reflecting upon yourself and your ways. Okay, if I do believe in a God, then what I'm doing probably ain't right with it. Maybe I do have to change. And Jake don't want to deal with that. That's why they go to the Christianity church and believe in JC, because he said, come as you are. You don't got to change for me. You know, I just love you as you are, son. That's why Christianity is one of the biggest strongholds that's over our people, man.
They love to have it so.
They run to the church, man, every Sunday. Without fail, they run to the church, eat them some catfish, eat them some pork, and go home and commit more evil, man. Commit more wickedness. Because they don't learn nothing. Yeah, for a few seconds.
This is Isaiah 5:3. How you just quoted it. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard.
So the Lord has given us the opportunity to look at, in Ezekiel the 18th chapter, the Lord say, our people say to the Lord that his ways is unequal.
Right.
Lord, this ain't a good deal for us.
Right.
That's what our people say. Why I gotta stop eating pork? Why I can't just live like the heathen and still get the benefits of being your chosen people? Right. Isn't that unfair? And that's what the Lord is saying. Like, look at them. This is what they do when they have liberty, man. Jake did all of that fighting to get up out of them, out of chattel slavery, to do this shit, to do donuts and challenges, and laugh and giggle and play around. This man.
It said, this is verse 4. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I look that it shall bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes.
Degenerate.
Right. Degenerate. Wow, man. Wow, man. And that's why I tell you in Jeremiah 24, the Lord say, there's a basket of good figs, there's a basket of evil figs that cannot be eaten. And they gotta be done, they gotta be thrown away. You got that, bro? Ezekiel 16?
No, I was looking at Malachi 3.
I got that. This is Malachi chapter 3.
I'm gonna transition. I can bear with us real quick. Well, that was just a little drizzle. I don't know. Make this transition. Shalom, Akim Yahweh Shem Yahushai, Bashim Kakadash Brakatam. Shalom.
there at the end. You right here, you stick.
Oh. Yeah, I got double tap. So, you gonna keep this in here so it don't get wet?
Huh?
You gonna keep this in here so it don't get wet?
What I did was I just set it in there so it wouldn't go on the ground. Because the ground was still wet. You can take it out if you want. I had laid it on put that one over there. Hold it. What I had did was hung it on here. See right now. It kept off the ground. The ground was wet. I see what you're saying. Yeah. You put it about how you can. What is this? I got water.
Water.
This is Malachi chapter 3 and 14. Ye have said, it is vain to serve God, and what profit is it that we have kept his ordinance, and that we have walked mournfully before the Lord of hosts?
Right, and that's what 2/3 of our people say. They say it's vain to serve the Heavenly Father because they can't see those tangible benefits outright, man. Because this world gives you immediate gratification. You know, you commit wickedness, you know, you commit adultery, you get that immediate gratification. You know, you go out and you rob somebody, you smoke weed, you get that immediate gratification.
Right.
But when you serve Yahweh Shem Yahushua, it's a thing of endurance and patience. And 2/3 of our people, the majority of our people don't have patience, man. Even people that call themselves Israelites, they don't have patience. You know, they don't want to wait for the Lord to come with that reward. They don't want to wait on the Lord to come with vengeance. They don't want to wait on the Lord to come with that vindication, man. They want it now. And that's ultimately the spirit of Esau. That's why he gave up the blessing in the first place. He couldn't wait. He wasn't patient. Give me those lentils right now. I'm about to die. Instead of thinking about the bigger picture, instead of thinking about his lineage on down the line, he was thinking about his hunger at that point in time, man, which caused him to slip. But our forefather Jacob, man, he showed the ultimate sign of patience, man. He was thinking of the bigger picture. He had his seed line at hand, man. He had his seed line in mind, you know, all the time. And you read that about all of our forefathers, man. All of our forefathers saw the benefit in serving Yahweh Shem Yahushua. They saw the benefit in patience and endurance. Because eventually, the righteous will be rewarded, man. Eventually, it shall be said, verily, there is a reward for the righteous, man. But it comes through patience, man. But the majority of our people, like it says in Malachi 3, they say, what profit is it for us to serve the Lord, man? Why are we serving the Lord? We still under captivity. We still getting our ass beat. We still got to go to work. We still got to serve these devils for the one of all things. Why should we serve the Lord? We should just go and do what we want to do.
Right.
You got it.
I say Jake lacked discipline, man. Right now, the Lord is in Ecclesiastes 17th chapter. The Lord says He nourishes our people with discipline. Meaning, you can't just give over to all of the lust of your flesh. That's not a real man. You listen to these guys that just talk about doing whatever the hell they think about, and they don't put no thought into the consequences. That's not a man, and it's not a judge. And we're being groomed to be judges. To be a judge, you have to have a certain level of restraint. If you can't control your body, then your body becomes the master and your mind is the servant. So whatever your body want to do, you convince your mind that it's real. It's 100. Man, she, I ain't had sex in a minute. She got a dude, but, And then Jake's mind starts to cop out. Well, she shouldn't have hollered at you. Jake makes all of these excuses, and it boils down to a lack of integrity. Our people don't value integrity, man. They don't value honor, and that's what the Lord gave us with the law, statutes, and commandments. Honor and wisdom and integrity. But this world is given to flesh, man. And that's why 2/3 of our people are numbered. They're not going to make it out of this one. Because they lack restraint. Yeah.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, verse 1. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright, our life is short and tedious, right. And in the death of a man there is no remedy.
Right.
Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. Jumping down to verse 6, it says, come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth.
And this is the mindset of the wicked, man. All right, they got it in their mindset to use grace and speedily.
You got it. Keep.
While they still got time, you know. They say it's reasoning within themselves, but not aright. These are the counsels of the wicked. This is what they think about, man. There is no resurrection in life, so we might as well crash out. We might as well live this lifetime and do whatever the hell we want to do. Instant gratification, man. And this is why truth has to be established in the earth, because when you understand what the Lord set up, the cycle of life that the Lord set up, you understand that there's something called reincarnation. All right, your spirit comes back every third and fourth generation upon the earth, and you have to serve punishment for what you've done in your past life. So when you know that, you move with a different type of decorum. You don't move in the earth you don't move in the earth crashing out. You don't go and just fulfill the lust of your wickedness, the lust of your flesh, because you know you got to come back. And so when you know that, you move with a certain type of integrity, man. You know, and that's why men in the ancient world, they move with integrity. They move with a certain type of discipline because they knew they had to come back. They knew they had to pay for what they've done in that lifetime, man. But men in today's age, they don't know that. So they live for instant gratification. They live for the moment.
Right, that YOLO spirit. You know, Jake always want to get comfortable in his own captivity. You don't understand that he's in captivity and it's designed for him. And that's the issue. Okay? That's the main problem.
That YOLO spirit has destroyed our people, man. You only live once. That's a falsehood, man.
Right.
All right, you came back multiple times on the earth. Lord willing, this is the final lifetime we'll have to come back and serve captivity.
Right.
You know? But we've been here multiple times, man.
Right.
You got it.
This is Malachi chapter 3 and 15. And now we call the proud happy. Yea, they that work wickedness are set up.
Right, and our people call the proud happy, because they see the reward that the Lord has given them, this temporary reward. They see that Edom is able to prosper. They see he has a kingdom. They see that he's ruling over all nations. You know, everywhere he goes, there's a certain type of, a certain level of respect he gets from the other nations. They see these things, and so they want to copy after that blueprint. They call the proud happy. You know, oh, he's been committing wickedness. You know, he's committed genocide. He's committed adultery. He's the biggest con artist on earth. All he does is lie, kill, and steal, and he's still prosperous. So if we follow that same blueprint, we'll be the same way. That's how people think, man. They call the proud happy without considering his latter end. Without considering the bigger picture that they're going to have to pay for these things, man. Eventually, judgment is going to come right back around, like it says in the book of 2nd Esdras, the 4th chapter, I believe. The Lord likened his judgment unto a ring. It's a circle, man. Everything you do in your body, eventually, you're going to have to pay for it, man.
This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 5, and verse 42. And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring, like as there is no slackness of the last, even so there is no swiftness of the first.
Right, and a ring is circular. All right, there is no breaks in a ring. Eventually, a ring, if you trace it around, you'll get back into that same point. And that's judgment. Eventually, whatever you saw in your body, eventually, it's going to come right back around. So the Lord is not mocked, like it says in Galatians 6 and 7. Because the Lord ain't going to be mocked by these niggas, man. These niggas ain't going to get the last laugh. Right. Eventually, that judgment is going to touch them. And we in that time, man. We in that time where the Lord is going to start touching 2/3 of our people, man. I got this real quick. There's a point that the brother was making earlier about our people making an excuse to fulfill the lust of their flesh. This is Sirach or Ecclesiastes 32 and 16. They that fear the Lord shall find judgment and shall kindle justice as a light. A sinful man will not be reproved, but findeth an excuse according to his will.
And that goes back to a lack of discipline. When you can't control your urges, you are no longer in control. And this is what the Lord is teaching us. And we're learning this the hard way. But this is why having discipline is so important. When you lack discipline, lifetimes later you have to pay for it. We're paying for what we done in a past life.
Right. I can't say this, why do you think Esau didn't want you to know the Bible in the beginning before? It was going to set you up for success and put you in order. But why would he want that? Okay, look at the disorder. Listen, in order to know how to rob, you got to look at the ultimate robber. Okay? In order you know how to steal, you got to look at the ultimate thief, man. And who's the ultimate thief of the earth? So much so, all you got to do is sit back and watch you do it. Right. And you okay with that. It's okay for you to be around him, be a nigga, but you can't call yourself the children of the Bible.
Right.
It's about
Hey, because the Bible is like that president said, I think it was Teddy Roosevelt, a thorough knowledge of the Bible is better than a college education. Right. Because the Bible teaches you how to be a man. It teaches you how to have discipline. It teaches you the characteristics of a king. You know, characteristics of a judge. You know, and discipline is one of the hardest things to learn, especially when you're not brought up with it.
Right.
When you're not brought up with certain lessons, with certain characteristics, it's hard to learn. It's hard to learn self-accountability, man. It's hard to learn discipline. It's hard to learn judgment. But through the Spirit, man, the Lord is putting us through certain trials and tribulations and exercising us in those characteristics, man. Because that's what we're going to need to endure and overcome in these latter days. Discipline is a must. Because when Esau come down with that chip and it's nothing to eat, you can't go to your job, you can't maneuver around the system. It's either that way or no way. Discipline gonna have to kick in and say, I have to wait. I'll wait on the Lord for my reward. I'll wait on the Lord to feed me. Discipline gonna have to kick in. Faith gonna have to kick in. Judgment, proper judgment is gonna have to kick in. When you maneuvering, when we're as pilgrims upon the earth, when we're walking around, waiting on the Spirit to tell us our next move, you're gonna have to exercise judgment. You come across a bunker, or you come across some Edomite or some or a Jake. You gotta, okay, hold on, let me see. Is this a setup? Okay. Is this the right way I should go? Well, the scriptures say I shouldn't. Well, the scriptures say I should. And you exercise judgment. That's needful, man. And that's why we go through certain things in our day-to-day life to teach us how to do these things naturally. Because that's how we want these precepts to be in our body. We want it to be natural. We want these precepts to flow out of us like second nature. We want to embody this word, man. And that comes through our day-to-day trial, man, you know?
right.
But
Hey, that's why wisdom is when you apply knowledge. And without trials and tribulations, you have no room to apply it. That's why we have to go through certain things. And it may be grievous in the moment that we go through it, but it's necessary for you to start exercising that muscle now before the panic. Exercising that muscle now before the collapse. You're moving with faith now. That's what the Lord is teaching us. And we're Lord willing, we only abound in that. That's why the scriptures talk about with all that I get what? Get understanding. How do you do that? By applying this knowledge, learning from your mistakes, getting back up, dusting yourself off, getting a harder battle. That's why the Lord spreads us, man, pushes us to our limit. You think it's the one trial and tribulation that's going to send you back to the spirit world. And then the Lord let you get over it and you realize you're stronger than you thought you were from the spirit of poverty, how about Shema Shai. And that's what we're learning, man. But we can't learn it without trials and tribulations.
and ultimately what we've been given is power. You see, before the Lord can bestow upon us that true power, that spiritual power that we read about, we got to exercise this power that we've already been given, which is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. That's a power in itself. Applied knowledge is power. You know, like the brother said, that old saying is garbage. Knowledge is power, that's garbage, man. Because people know all day not to smoke cigarettes, but they still do it. Without applying the knowledge and not smoking a cigarette, that's the only way it'll benefit you, man. Applied knowledge is power.
I got one question. It's Micah chapter 3, verse 8. For truly I am full of power by the Spirit of the Lord, and of judgment and of might, to declare unto Jacob his transgression, and to Israel his sin.
Right, and with the power that that the Lord has bestowed upon us, all right, we go in turn and bestow it upon the Lord's elect, Lord willing. You know, we transfer this power into each and every other brother, who in turn becomes a pillar, and he shares that same power until all the elect are raised, man. This is a transfer of power. What we see throughout the highways and byways, what we see on a daily basis through these epistles, that's a transfer of power. That's a transfer of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh's spirit to the next brother. And once it hops on the next brother and he's cultivated, he transfers it to the next brother. That's how the Lord set this truth up, man. It's a very beautiful thing, man, when you think about it. We have the ultimate power. And right now, it seems small. it seems real minute. It seems real small just to know these things and just have to wait on these things and just have the knowledge, but you just have to wait on it. It seems small right now, but eventually it's gonna play out to our benefit, man.
Hey, to land back on what the brother was saying, man, this is like spiritual exercise at the end of the day. Because we got so much physical. See, Jake know how to play sports. He know how to dunk basketball, box. You know, that's physical, that's carnal. Right. See, he wasn't taught nothing spiritual. You see, Jake is feminine now these days. We see the ancient world, there was real men in the ancient world, man. You see, and this is what this Bible grooms, man. Real men. And if you ain't built like that, it's gonna show. You ain't gonna have to say nothing. Because this is gonna groom you, man. Okay? And listen, Jake don't like to be told what to do. Okay? Jake got that grandmama spirit on him still. Okay? That church house spirit on him. That Bell House, Mississippi stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's that stuff that we need to stay away from, man, because that's the stuff that softens us up where we can't get these scriptures. You know, this wisdom is imperative, and amongst brothers with the like-mindedness, you know what I'm saying? You get an understanding of what it takes to do this. You can actually look and be like, man, I can obtain righteousness, repentance, man. I can obtain my heritage back and be okay with this. We ain't do nothing special up here. This is the #1 targeted thing because we're preaching against what? MOTB, right? We got the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai on us, and that's a scary thing because the prophecies fit us. We're proving that the prophecies fit us, brothers. Go ahead.
Hey, if I may say this, and that's what the true measure of a man is. You know, the true measure of a man is not in his material. It's not how much knowledge he's able to spew out. It's not how much women he's able to command. The true measure of a man is in his understanding of his power. Right. The true measure of a man is in his faith. And that's what we're learning, man. How to be true men. Because a true man, you can look at Jake all day, he be big, swole, tough as hell, mean mugging. But under certain circumstances, they're gonna fold like toilet paper, man. Because a real man stands on his power, man. A real man stands for his God and understands the will of his power, man. That's the true measure of a man, man. And right now, the Lord is measuring us up. He's building us up, man, to be those perfect men, like it says in Ephesians, the 6th chapter, I think. Ephesians, let me see. Ephesians, the 6th chapter, I believe.
While you're getting that, it's 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 4. And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and of power.
Right. And we don't come with the words of man's wisdom. You know, we don't come with those big fancy words. Because ultimately, when you do that, you lose the audience, man. You know, you lose the targeted audience. The Lord spake plainly. You know, he spoke in parables. You know, but he spoke plainly to the people. So your message is able to be understood and comprehended, man. You know, we don't come with man's wisdom. We come with the demonstration of the Spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. We come with the fruits of the Spirit. You know, that's how we teach. That's how we were brought up. You know, through our elders and apostles of Great Millstone. And that's how we conduct ourselves. And through the way that we conduct ourselves, other brothers are able to see that light. Because you got to remember that you're a light as well, man. So you got to walk as such. In the valley of the shadow of death, you got to walk as that light. And the more and more you walk as that light, and the more and more you walk in integrity, the more and more people notice you. Because understand, people are watching you. You may not know that. I came to that realization like a short time ago, man. People are watching you. Normal, like on your day-to-day, people are watching how you move. They watch how you conduct yourself. They watch your manner of speech. They're watching you. Whether you realize it or not, they're watching you. And it probably is just the spirit that hop on them to watch you. You know, that's why it seems like all eyes are on you when you go walk into certain places. You know, but they watching, man. They watch how you conduct yourself. They watch how you, because your family members, they know you in the truth, so they watch how it changes. They watch, okay, is he really going to stand on what he's talking about? Is he really going, okay, he say he's not going to eat pork, but let me watch and see. Let me put this pork in front of him and let me see if he eat. He say he walk righteous. Let me test him. Shalom. You know?
I got something for you to back you up on that. This is Proverbs chapter 20 and 7. The just man walketh in his integrity. His children are blessed after him.
Right, the just man walketh in his integrity. You can look that word up.
I got one. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, start at verse 1. dare any of you, having a matter against another, go to law before the unjust and not before the saints? Do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters?
Right. And
Know,
if,
know ye not that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertain to this life? If then ye have judgments of things pertaining to this life, set them to judge who are least esteemed in the church. Now I'm just going to make the point about how Lord's will, we're all that number, you know, and us being the future judges of the world, you know, the angels, you know, the future judges under Yahushua of the universe. But before we get to that point, we got to learn how to judge ourselves and rule of our own spirit. And that's where that exercise, this is what the Lord is training us up now. So that you know, like the brother said, exercising that muscle.
and it starts in the smallest matters, like the scripture says. You know, in your day-to-day walk, when you go to your plantation, when you go to the job, and you face with they having a little party in the lunchroom or whatnot, and they got pizza on the table and this nothing but pepperoni. That's a judgment that you got to make. It's a small matter, but it starts there, and then it builds up, and then it builds up, and then it builds up to the point where now it's Jacob's trouble. And you're making those decisions that actually have weight to it, that actually have lives on the line. Now you're making those type of decisions, but it's not foreign to you no more. You're not scared to make that judgment. You're not scared to act on the spirit because you've been exercised in it. Because at first, you be scared to act on that feeling. Because you get a feeling like, okay, I should do this.
Right.
But then something in you, that nigga, it's like, nah, don't do that. Nah, you ain't strong enough for that yet. And right now, we learning how to shun that nigga, man. We learning how to put that, hey man, shut up. And listen to the spirit. You know? But it starts in the smallest matters first. And then we get build up and build up and build up. Until we start making those decisions, those heavier weighted decisions, man.
This is the word integrity, the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles.
Hey, and on your day-to-day walk, we have to walk with integrity. Because understanding the power that we deal with, we understand that he's omnipotent and omnipresent. His eyes on everything, and he's everywhere at all times. We have his spirit in us. How the hell can we escape? We on borrowed time. This ain't our spirit. So the Lord is constantly watching what we're doing. He's constantly watching how we conduct ourselves and how we use this wisdom and knowledge that we've been given, how we use the power that we've been given. So it's a constant test of our integrity on our day-to-day walk. How you gonna walk? Because that's the biggest test. When you're not around brothers, because it's easy to fake the front. You tell them, you know. And then you get on your life and you eating pork, you commit adultery, you all type of nigga. The hardest test comes when you by yourself. Because that's when you're tested.
Boom, Yasharal. Moral uprightness. Can't help yourself. The state of being whole and undivided.
Right now we're learning to be whole. You know, the Lord is he's putting together those pieces that we've lost through the generations of captivity, through the generations of you know, we've been brought up here in America, Babylon. You know, the Lord is putting those broken pieces back together, man. That's why it says in Isaiah 61st chapter, we're sent to preach liberty to the brokenhearted. You know, something like a rough paraphrase. You know,
Isaiah 61:1.
61.
I got it. Isaiah 61:1. The Spirit of the Lord power is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound.
The water, bind up the brokenhearted. You know, and that's what the Lord is doing. He's binding up those wounds that we've received, man. He's binding up those pieces that we've lost. And he's bringing us into that whole man, that perfect man through the Spirit. Because it's possible. The Lord wouldn't have told us. The Lord wouldn't have told us, be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect, if it wasn't possible. You got to understand the man we're dealing with. The Lord just don't talk just to talk. So when he said that, he meant it. He meant, hey, it's possible for us to be whole. It's possible for us to reach that point where we're perfect in the Spirit. Not saying that we got the law, statutes, and commandments in our heart like the second covenant, but we're perfect in the sense of where we're able to, the Lord is able to use us as conduits, man. You know? This is Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 11. And he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists and some pastors and teachers for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of the Mashiach, till we all come to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of the Mashiach. And this is why we have the ministry.
I want to make a point you just made about being perfect, right? That's Matthew 5:48. That's how you, how I said that. So read that.
2 Timothy chapter 2 and 20.
Yep.
It's 2 Timothy chapter 2 and 20. But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of earth, and some to honor and some to dishonor. If a man therefore purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified and meet for the master's use.
Right, it said meat for the master's use. Now, the ways you can become perfect in these fleshly bodies, read that.
Titus chapter 3, verse 3.
Colossians 3:1.
For we ourselves also were sometimes foolish,
Right.
disobedient, deceived, serving diverse lusts and pleasures, living in malice and envy, hateful and hating one another. But after that, the kindness and love of our power, our Savior, toward man appeared.
See, these things we got to put away, man. These are the ways that we become perfect in these fleshly bodies. Read that.
This is Colossians chapter 3 and 1.
Yep.
If ye then be risen with Hamashiach, seek those things which are above,
Right.
where Hamashiach sitteth on the right hand of power.
Go ahead.
Set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth. For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Hamashiach in power.
Go ahead.
When Hamashiach, who is our life, shall appear, then shall ye also appear with him in glory.
Go ahead.
Mortify therefore your members
This is the point right here. Go ahead.
which are upon earth,
Right.
fornication, uncleanness, uncleanness, inordinate affection,
Right.
evil concupiscence,
Concupiscence. We look that up. Yeah.
and covetousness,
Right.
which is idolatry.
Right.
For which things sake the wrath of power cometh unto the children of disobedience.
Right. The children of disobedience. Those are the ones that ain't going to change. These are the ones that cannot become perfect in these fleshly bodies. So read that again
Come.
from Mortify Your Members.
Come. Colossians chapter 3 and 5. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness,
Right.
inordinate affection,
Right.
evil concupiscence,
Concupiscence. Right.
Salaki, and covetousness, which is idolatry.
Nah, you got to do letter. Yeah. Read that word mortify. Let's see what this say. This say mortify your members. Right. Go ahead.
This is our Strong's G 3499 neck root, and it reads: to be dead, to make dead, to put to death, to slay, worn out, of an impotent old man,
See?
to deprive of power,
Right.
destroy the strength of.
Right. And to put off the old man. They said to put off the old man. We're supposed to be putting on the new man. So go ahead, read. So I get on concupiscence.
This is our concupiscence. Strong's G 1939 epithmia. It says desire, craving, longing, desire for what is forbidden.
See?
Lust.
See? That forbidden fruit, which is what? The philosophies of the world, man. We go into this all the time. Esau brainwashed us, conformed us to chase the bag, man. And whatever it takes to get the bag. Go ahead.
Oh, that was it on the definition.
Now get ordinate affection. The word ordinate.
This is the word inordinate. It is it's Strong's G 3806 pathos, and it reads affection, lust, a passion. It says a calamity, a mishap, evil affliction, whatsoever befalls one, whether it be sad or joyous, passionate deed, an affliction of the mind, emotion, passion.
That was the point. See, that's that lust, man. Passion. Well, Jake got a passion for doing what? Wickedness, man. Following the ways of Esau Edom. We went into it a little while ago in Jeremiah 5:26, man. They say, our people lay snares as he that set up traps, man. So read that. First Peter 4:1.
1 Peter chapter 4, verse 1. For as much then as Hamashiach has suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind.
Now, one of the words for inordinate said mind. Go ahead.
For he that has suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin,
Right?
that he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men.
Hey, that's why the scripture says we walk by faith, not by sight, man. This is us putting off the old man, putting on the new, and becoming perfect as possibly we can in these fleshly bodies, man. You can perform this, man. If you repent, be sincere, and put on the same mind of the Messiah, when you think about whatever in your life, think about what will Yahweh shall do, man. Read again.
That he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of the Most High.
Right?
For the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles,
Right?
when we walk in lasciviousness.
Now hold on, we just went to Titus 3, right? It said haters, right? Deceivers, hating one another. These are the things, man. Mortifying our bodies. Read it again.
For the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles, when we walk in lasciviousness,
Right?
lust, excess of wine, revelings, banquetings, and abominable idolatry.
All you want to do is have a good time, man. We are not in the time to have a good time, man.
Exodus 32.
We in mourning, man. We on the bottom. This ain't our kingdom, man. Go ahead.
Wherein they think it strange that ye run not with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evil of you, who shall give account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead.
Hey, and when your family start to separate from you, man, when people start to detach, that's the Lord, hey, purifying you, man, putting you through trials and tribulations, giving you that spirit of acceptance to become perfect in these fleshly bodies, man. Go ahead.
For this cause was the gospel preached also to them that are dead,
Right?
that they might be judged according to men in the flesh, but live according to the Most High in the Spirit.
You see? Go ahead.
But the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover the multitude of sins.
And that's key. Charity. Of course, we got to work out our own salvation with being triggered. But this is about a body, man. This is a body, man. Read that again.
But the end of all things is at hand. But be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things, have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover the multitude of sins.
Charity shall cover a multitude of sins, man. Go ahead.
Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man...
You see, it said without grudging, man. Hey, being in the world, it's hard to do that, man. It's hard to just have charity for a stranger that you never knew. But that's why the Lord bring you out of that and bring you into this fold, man. We are not strangers, man. As far as we know right now, as long as we in this truth, we getting on this side, we brothers from old, man. Go ahead. The same spirit the Lord is bringing back again. And we got to treat each other as such, man. Go ahead.
As every man have received the gift, even to minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of the Most High. If any man speak, let him speak the oracles of the Most High. If any man minister, let him do it
I'm
as
about to
the...
say this. This is how you see the love of Yahweh Shah. Because what the Lord did for us gives us access again. That's why the scripture says you can be perfect, because all of your imperfections have already been covered.
Right.
That tab has been covered. So if you live to the will of the Heavenly Father, you're in essence already perfect. That's why Yahweh Shah say, hold fast that no man take your crown.
Right.
Because he's already covered the tab of the elect. Blessed is the man whom the Lord has not imputed iniquity unto.
Right.
That means even when they make mistakes, it's already covered.
Right.
We're riding with training wheels, so to speak, through the spirit. But that don't mean you use that as a cloak of maliciousness. You use that to become better in the spirit, be a better tool for the master's use.
Right. Meat for the master's use, man.
And the brother brought out a beautiful point. In the world, Jake is taught to hate each other, to compete with each other. When you come home to understand you're in a family of kings.
Right.
That's what we have to relearn that. Every brother's measure is different, but it's still a family of kings and princes. That's why having fervent love and charity amongst each other is the showing of the spirit of the Heavenly Father. That's what's being gathered. The first fruits. When you deal with the first fruits, that's the best citizens of the nation of Israel. And you got to remember, there's no expiration date on that. From the least to the greatest, those who make it and get a crown from Yahweh Shai, there's going to be men in Israel, and then there's going to be men in Israel who receive crowns.
Right.
And it's different. We all have the commonwealth, but through the Spirit, that's what the Lord has the Lord has given you the opportunity to receive it. Out of your whole family, you're the only one that knows the truth. And the brother brought out a beautiful point. The Lord separating you from your family allows you to grow. And that's one of your first biggest trials. Because the moment you stop caring what they think, these other people don't really matter that much.
Right.
Verse 11. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of the Most High. If any man minister, let him do it as the ability which the Most High giveth. That the Most High in all things may be glorified through Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen.
Go ahead.
Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. But rejoice in so much as ye are partakers of Hamashiach's sufferings,
Right.
that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy.
Go ahead.
If ye be reproached for the name of Hamashiach, happy are ye, for the spirit of glory and the Most High resteth upon you, and on their part he is evil spoken of.
Right? It said on the 2/3 part, the Lord is evil spoken of. But what?
But on your part he is glorified.
How is the Lord being glorified? Hey, you out here in the highways and hedges. You are every day constantly meditating on your Yahweh Shema. So you're meditating on the kingdom, man. We all ready to get out of here, man. Your mind is on, it said it in Colossians 3. We setting our mind on things of the heaven, man. That's you getting out of this flesh spiritually, man. Emotionally and mentally. We just here physically, man. Read that again.
If ye be reproached for the name of Hamashiach, happy are ye, for the spirit of glory and the Most High resteth upon you. On their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is glorified.
Go ahead.
But let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters. Yet if any man suffer as a Hamashiachim, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify the Most High on this behalf.
Hey, that's what we're doing. Lord willing, we build that number that continues to the end. Good job, man.
You may say this in the way that we glorify Yahweh Shem Shai is allowing these fruits of the Spirit to be exercised within us, man. Because the scriptures say that we should make our bodies a living sacrifice. You know, and by doing it, by exercising these fruits of the Spirit, fervent charity, all right, and the characteristics that we learn throughout the whole Bible, all right, that's how we glorify Yahweh Shem Shai. You know, like the brother was saying, you know, that's one way that you'll be able to tell the Lord's true disciples. You know, it's how they treat one another. You know, and that's something that once you allow these things to be exercised in you, it comes out naturally. You know, it comes like second nature, because it feels like when you have a conversation with a brother, it feels like you're just continuing the same conversation y'all left off with from another lifetime, man. Because ultimately, Lord, when we are that number, we've been here with each other. You know, we were with Yahweh Shai when he was creating the grass, you know, the air, the skies, the firmament. We were with Yahweh Shai. We was amongst each other, you know, doing these things. And we were sent down with each other in these chains of darkness. Right. And so when we come together, you know, it's like that light being rekindled. It's like okay, yeah, I know you. You know, it feels natural. You know, the Spirit bear witness.
Right.
And it's like, and what the truth does, essentially, it doesn't change you. It just brings out who you already were.
Right.
That's all it does. It just brings out who you already were. You know? And once you allow these things to be exercised within you, you know, these characteristics become second nature. You know? But I got one if y'all got one.
Yeah.
This is 2 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse 12. It says, "For if there be first a willing mind, it is accepted according to that a man hath, and not according to that he hath not." And the brother was making the point, you know, earlier, we have to adopt the mindset of Yahweh Shai. You know, Yahweh Shai was willing to go through his trials. He was willing to be persecuted. He was willing to take on that hell for our nation. He had a willing mind within him, man, and we have to adopt that same mindset. You know, that's all the Lord requires. And when you look at what we stand to gain and what the Lord told us to do,
I got one real quick.
That's standing great boldness, man. That's beautiful. Be sincere, man.
Right.
This Romans chapter 5, and I'll start at verse 6. For when we were yet without strength, in due time, the Mashiach died for the ungodly.
right, and when we were out without strength, you know, when the Lord turned his face from us, you know, and we fell into captivity and we fell deeper into our wickedness, and we were naked amongst these nations.
Right.
The Lord, he came and he did that for us so we can be rebuilt, we can be built back up again, man. You know? Because without the Lord's sacrifice, we would be done.
Dude, man.
So the Lord came and did that for us. So it should be a right thing for us to come out here and do this our due diligence, man.
Yeah,
To
that's
stand
a
up.
beautiful point, because without Mashiach, we would have been in perpetual slavery.
Right.
Because we would eventually you're gonna lose the fight to the flesh. Without that sacrifice, eventually our whole nation was gonna fall into captivity again. We might have a good 40, maybe a good 50 years of keeping it together, but eventually we was gonna fall off.
They die and come back in the same life.
And that's what Hamashiach ended. He ended that cycle of righteous men falling and staying down and having to get back up and being born into a world and having to do that all over again and just watch other nations rule over you for eternity, really, without Yahushua being able to have that sacrifice and give us those better bodies.
Hey, that's why Peter done asked the Lord in Acts 1 and 6. Are you about to start the kingdom of heaven right now, Lord? He was like, no, it's not for you to know that, man.
Right.
Y'all got a lot more work to do, man.
Right. And this gives us the appreciation for what that sacrifice really means, man. Because as bad as you want to be perfect, you can't. You have little strength.
Right.
And when we was totally in the world, we had no strength. And the only strength we have now is of the Heavenly Father.
That's it.
That no man can boast.
Yeah.
The demonstration of power with the Spirit of the Heavenly Father. This is Romans 5 again and 6. For when we were yet without strength, in due time, Hamashiach died for the ungodly. For scarcely for a righteous man will one die. Yet, peradventure, for a good man, some would even dare to die. And peradventure means perhaps. So that's like old English, that basically saying perhaps. So it says again, yet peradventure, for a good man, some would even dare to die.
Because if you think about it, you know, you take the most righteous man you know on this side, you know, and you put him and you face him in Yahushua's stead, or even smaller than Yahushua's stead. You say, take this bullet for this man. Hell no, I ain't finna take a bullet for him. Why would I do that? Why would I take a bullet? And it's like you put a man in Yahushua's stead. Why would you take that? And these people are rebellious. Why would you do that? But the Lord, his love for us exceeded that, man. And he did that for us, man. He took on those woes. He took on that persecution, that hell, you know, just to lift us back up again, man. You know?
Verse 8, but Yahweh Shemel Shah commended his love toward us in that while we were yet sinners, Mashiach died for us. So that's basically saying, look, for a righteous man, people will barely die. For a good man, maybe, perhaps, as it says, yet peradventure, or perhaps for a good man, some would even dare to die, meaning they'll consider it.
Right.
But Hamashiach, we was gone, we was cool. We had no chance, and he still laid his life down. That shows the love. So when you read John 3:16, it says, for God so loved the world. Christianity has abused that, but that's actually a beautiful scripture. Because that's how the Lord has shown his love toward us as a nation. That he would give up his delight, his only begotten. The scriptures say that the Lord was his daily delight. At one point, it was just the Most High and Yahushua. At one point in the creation, it was just them two. Yeah. And he gave up that love. He gave him up so that we would be brought back together with the elect, going to a part of that number. Like the brother brought out, that's a light affliction. To have to bear the indignation until Yahushua comes home, man. That's a light affliction. You don't have anything else in this world to gain anyway. It's all gonna melt with fervor. That's why this is the greatest thing that you can ever do as an Israelite man on the earth right now, is know this truth and apply it. Everything else will work itself out through the Spirit. Wherever you're supposed to be at, you're going to land there. But learn the basics first. Being appreciative that we have this and dealing one battle at a time. The what if is dead, man. It's one battle at a time. Whatever's in front of you through the Spirit, deal with that in the Spirit. Take it one battle, one day at a time, man.
Read it. Go ahead.
I was about to say, y'all call that.
Yeah, go ahead.
2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 6. For God, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, have shined in our hearts, to give the light of knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Yahushua HaMashiach. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of God and not of us.
Right, we have this treasure in earthen vessels. And like the brother is saying, you know, the Lord gave us this treasure, man. You know, he gave us the treasure of faith. He gave us the treasure of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, so that when we face certain persecutions, when we face certain trials, we're not destroyed.
Right.
So that we don't.
Or when you go to the word perplex in 2 Corinthians 4, right? Right. When you click on the word perplex, it's G639. It says to be without resources,
Right.
to be in straits, to be left wanting, to be embarrassed, to be in doubt, not to know which way to turn, to be at a loss with oneself, be in doubt, not to know how to decide or what to do, to be perplexed, man. And that's going to be 2/3 of Jacob, man, and Jacob's trouble.
And that scripture says we are perplexed, but not in despair.
Right.
Huge
Right.
difference.
Right.
We may be without resources, but we're not in despair.
Get the word dispel.
That's why the scriptures say knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy time. And even now it's the stability of your time. If you walk in a grocery store right now, just look at the countenance of people. When you in there, just look at how people moving and how they operate. You can see the word on people's faces.
Right.
That's right. That in itself shows you that knowledge and wisdom is already the stability of your time. But it's going to get greater as the Lord starts to deliver you from certain situations. Then your faith is going. Imagine you getting saved from your first run in with a dangerous situation. You go 2 days without food, and then the Lord feeds you. It's going to be like, oh, why do you have shy? Your faith going to grow, the ability to trust the Heavenly Father is going to grow. Because that's what this is all about. The Lord said He's dealing with us as His sons. So He wants each son to know how real He is, not just us reading like, man, Daniel was cold. Right. How the Lord delivered you. That was, man, or Peter, man, you saw how. Now the Lord wants you to have your own. That's why Jacob's trouble, it's a beauty in it. Because the elect are going to be, it's going to be revealed unto them that the Lord is dealing with them. Lord willing to be a part of that number. And having that first person experience of being delivered, even out of 1 or 2 situations. That's what we're fighting for, man.
So this is where the spell is saying to utterly be at loss, be utterly destitute of measures of resources, to renounce all hope, be in despair.
So we ain't gonna have resources, but we ain't gonna be without hope.
Right. Hey, come, let me get that.
That's beautiful.
This is Romans chapter 8, and verse 24. Hey, if somebody can get me Job 11 and 20. Because the scriptures say that Esau ain't gonna have no hope.
Right.
They ain't gonna have no hope. It said Romans 8 and 24, for we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why doeth he yet hope for? But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it.
Right.
Because Esau is carnal, man. They need to touch the money. 2/3 of Jacob need to touch the money.
Right.
They need to see the money. I got this strap, Bob. They need to have the gun and the bullet. No, we got spiritual bullets. We got a spiritual weapon. As the article came out from California a while ago, it said the Bible is the Bible is the clip and the words is the ammo, man. Okay? And we got Hebrews 4 and 12. The words of the Lord cut like a two-edged sword, man. This is our weapon, man. It was that Psalm 44 and 8. It said we shall boast in Yahweh Shema Shah all the day long, man.
In Psalm 44, in verse 8, it reads, "In God we boast all the day long,
Right.
and praise thy name forever, Salah."
And that comes from the verse 6. Read 6.
Verse 6, "For I will not trust in my bow,
Right?
neither shall my sword save me. But thou hast saved us from our enemies, and hast put them to shame that hated us."
Now hold on. It said that has saved us from our enemies. That's a future prophecy. the elect gonna win regardless. The Lord say, hold that fast which thou hast now, and increase to it, add on to it. Go ahead.
In God we boast all the day long, and praise thy name forever. Salah.
Come on, man. Didn't it say Psalm 124 and 8 say, I will help us in the name of the Lord?
Right.
So the Bible is the ammo, the words is the bullets, and we shooting spiritually.
Right.
Now get that Job 11 and 20.
Job 11 and 20.
Right.
But the eyes of the wicked shall fail. And
Hold on. As a matter of fact, start at 14.
Verse 14.
So they're talking about the hopeful elect first. Let's read that.
If iniquity be in thine hand, put it far away.
Put it far away. Talk
let-
to the hopeful elect. Go ahead.
And let not wickedness dwell in thy tabernacle.
Go ahead.
For then shalt thou lift up thy face without spot.
You see, the Lord said He's going to turn His face to us in Hosea 5 and 15. Go ahead.
Yea, thou shalt be steadfast and shalt not fear.
You see? Because we trust in Yahweh Shema Shah. He gave us the blueprint.
Right.
Go ahead.
Because thou shalt forget thy misery,
You see? We're going to forget misery. Go ahead.
and remember it as waters that pass away.
And I mentioned this in a lesson this week. If you stand at a river, the water constantly flowing, right? That portion of water that passed by you, you ain't going to see that water no more. Right? It's water going, man. Read that again.
Because thou shalt forget thy misery, and remember it as waters that passed away.
When you're brushing your teeth, the water that's coming out the faucet going down the sink, it's gone. Go ahead.
And thine age shall be clearer than the noonday. Thou shalt shine forth, thou shalt be as the morning,
That you, ready, wisdom. Go ahead.
and thou shalt be secure.
You see it? Come on, man. Go ahead.
Hey, that word secure means help.
Yeah.
Secure means help. You got it.
And thou shalt be secure because there is hope.
You
Yea,
see? Read that again.
That's like,
and thou shalt be secure because there is hope.
Right?
Yea, thou shalt dig about thee, and thou shalt take thy rest in safety.
In safety. Go ahead.
Hey, but this, if I may say this, man, it's gravity to those words, man.
Man.
It said there is hope.
Yeah.
Bro, for the majority of people on this earth, they have no hope, man.
They have no hope.
They don't know how they're gonna make it to tomorrow. They don't know how they're gonna make it in the next 5 minutes, man.
Corner minded, man.
Corner
it's going to
minded.
go downhill from there.
Yeah.
The moment they got to start going through withdrawal because they don't have access to them drugs, forget about it.
Oh,
The moment CVS shut down, forget about it.
yeah.
They ain't got hope now. And they on Zans and Perks right now with no hope. Starve them out a couple days. It's going to get tragic. You got it.
Also thou shalt lie down, and none shall make thee afraid.
Right.
Yea, many shall make suit unto thee. But the eyes of the wicked shall fail.
Hey, that's scripture too. It said, "Thou shalt lay down, and none shall make you afraid." Think about Yahushua when he was sleeping in the midst of that storm.
Yeah.
He wasn't afraid of nothing because he knew, hey,
Right.
the Father got me, man.
He was looking at the disciples like, what y'all?
Yeah, what y'all tripping about?
They tripping up.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, is it? That show you how much faith our big brother expect from us, really. Right. That's how much faith he expect from us. He ain't even, because that's an understandable fear. We talk about the ancient world. That ship ain't that big. And a storm is covering that and rocking to and fro. That's a scary situation. Yahushua told the water, hey, he said, peace be still. And then you look at them like,
Y'all gonna do the
what's
same
wrong?
thing.
What's wrong with y'all? The disciples, they like, why you? What's wrong with us?
Yeah, what
But
made
that's
that
the kind of
man
faith he expect from us. Man. That's why we gotta rehearse the righteous acts now. We gotta exercise faith now, man. If you go meditate on anything, meditate on getting delivered.
Right.
Why meditate on the worst case scenario? If you're doing what the Lord requires, if you meditate on good, the scriptures say, ye that fear the Lord, hope for good, man.
Hey, if I may say this, and that's the challenge that we've been presented with.
Right.
You know, it's easy to think about the worst case scenario. We live in the worst case scenario. It's hard to think about the best case scenario. It's hard to put yourself in good predicaments in your mind, man. Challenge yourself to do that. You know?
If I may say, because hey, the Lord, He came through. Brothers say it all the time. The Lord came through on the curses. Well, hey, He's gonna come through on the deliverances as well.
Hey, as a matter of fact, finish reading that. You holding something? Get real quick. Get Deuteronomy 30 and 1. Let's read that.
I got Yahushua.
All right. Read
Job chapter 11, verse 20. But the eyes of the wicked shall fail, and they shall not escape.
Right.
And their hope shall be as the giving up of the Spirit.
You see, that's it. The best hope that Esau got is just Kill yourself. That's it. That's the words of the Lord, man. But our hope is sure, man. So read that real quick.
It's Deuteronomy 30. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee,
Right?
the blessing and the curse.
The blessing and the curse. This is a future prophecy. Lord speaking this way back, man. I'm going to put y'all through this. But guess what? I'm going to bring y'all out on the other side. Read it again.
And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse,
Right?
which I have set before thee,
You see? Lord, and this is already moved and already stayed. Go ahead.
and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations.
And we is right now. All the curses. We remember the blessings. When we've been on these curses for so long. What blessings?
Right.
Go ahead.
Whither the Lord thy God have driven thee, and shalt return unto the Lord thy God, and shalt obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whither the Lord thy power hath scattered thee.
And we see this happening now, man. These devils got a suicide rate. Okay? Their margins is moving up. They ODing rate. They have a opioids epidemic, man. They are dying faster than they can be born, man. This is the Lord turning the curses on them now, man. Good job, guys. I just want to go. You got, oh yeah, that count with y'all, Shaq.
Yeah, I got you.
Whatever, you got
This Ecclesiastes chapter 16 and verse 13.
Oh, slightly. I think he had one.
No. Go ahead. I'll bring that up.
No, go ahead. You got it.
Of course.
And that goes into that willing mind.
Right.
If you're willing to trust the Lord, he's never forsaken those that trusted in him concerning our people. And that's why this is for us. This is the comfort for our people to understand this. And only the elect will understand it. Because the brother brought it out beautifully. Jacob has seen the curses so much, they don't think there's a hope. They don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's why the scripture saying Hebrews the 4th chapter. It's not mixed with faith in them that heard it, man. You have to have faith with it. Without the faith, it's not going to prosper. You got it, Lord.
That was it on that, bro?
That's it. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 16 and verse 13. The sinner shall not escape with his spoils, and the patience of the godly shall not be frustrated.
Right, and the sinners ain't going to escape with their spoils, man. All right, the latter end of Esau Edom is not going to be good. All right, but the patience of the godly is not going to be frustrated. Our purpose is not going to be frustrated. You know, the Lord ain't he don't have us out here on a vain mission. He ain't sent us on a dummy mission, man. All right, the end of this ministry, the end of what we're doing right now is glory, man. The patience of the godly is not going to be frustrated. Trust and believe that. All right, the wicked will not have the victory this time.
It's Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
Right, and what do we read about constantly in the scriptures? All right, the Lord vindicating the righteous, man.
All right.
The Lord coming through for the righteous and judging the wicked. And that's the same thing that's going to happen in these latter days. All right, trust the process. The Lord don't have us on no dummy mission. He didn't prank call us into this truth. It was a purpose to why he called us. And it's a purpose to what we're doing right now. All right, we're doing this for Yahushua's kingdom to be established, man. So that the whole nation of Israel can be set up, the Commonwealth of Israel. You know, what we read about, what we think about. You know, for that to be established. Righteousness to be established. You know, the patience of the godly ain't going to be frustrated. No matter how many devices Esau got out here, ain't none of them going to work. We read about it. But at this point, it's a matter of trusting. It's a matter of actually believing what you read. Because it's easy to just read these things. You get up and you walk away, and it's just words on the page to you. But it's different, man, when you actually challenge yourself to think about that best case scenario, to think about those promises actually coming to you. It's different. You read these things, okay. It gives you a whole different purpose to your mission.
You know why? Because then you got to believe that the Lord actually loves you. When the scriptures say you got to love your neighbor as you love yourself, if you don't love yourself, then that scripture don't do you no justice. How can you love your brother if you don't have no love for yourself? That's what we're learning right now. And in order, like the brother brought out beautifully, if you don't believe in the best case scenario, the only way that's going to happen is if you believe that the Lord sincerely loves you. Not just the elect, quotation marks, wherever they are, but you actually have to believe that the Lord loves you. That's the challenge. The scriptures say you have to believe that the Lord is and that he's a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. And And that includes you if you're doing what's required. And that's what we have to continue to meditate upon. That's why the what ifs, if you're going to do anything in what if, it should be in the best case scenario. As the scriptures say, ye that fear the Lord, hope for good. That's what, all these things that we're reading about are the consequences and the rewards of being obedient or disobedient. Those who have been obedient have never been forsaken, ever. That's what we read. We're reading that to have a personal account. Because a lot of times we think that these are the only miracles that ever happened. There were more miracles. These were just the ones that we needed for now.
Right.
Scriptures talk about the works of Yahweh Shai being so fruitful, it wouldn't even fit in the book. We just got the accounts that matter for us right now so that we can have hope. Like it says in Romans the 15th chapter.
If I can say this, it's another level to this truth that we're being groomed for right now. And it's going to take belief in order to cross over to that next side. It's another level to this. The Lord ain't going to just keep us on the same level forever. That's why we're being built up now. That's why we're catching more hell. Because it's another level to this thing. And we're getting ready to enter into that next phase, that next level. And it's going to take more faith. It's going to take more belief.
Because we love seeing how Elijah got fed, how he got beamed up, you know, how he got translated. We love seeing that. But then what about the ones when he in the woods and he's like, man, she see my life. Or you don't even know the raven, if the raven gonna come or not. That uncertainty. We reading that the aftermath. But having to sit in it is a completely different story. That's what we're learning right now. Those are the parts we gloss over those parts. Lord, they seek my life. I have reserved unto me. But we don't realize, like, imagine being in that position where they want you dead. You in the woods hiding for your life, and you don't know how the Lord will work it out. You just got to believe that He will. That's where the miracles happen. If you could see it coming, it's not a miracle.
Right. I got a precept for that. This is Proverbs, Slaki. This is Psalms 31 and 23. O love the Lord, all ye His saints, for the Lord preserveth the faithful, and plentiful rewardeth the proud doer.
And the Lord preserveth His faithful, man. All right, we're going to be preserved. We're going to be preserved. The Lord has 7,000 men that He's preserved to not fall to this beast, man. The Lord has an elect that's been predestined to conquer this flesh, man, to conquer the world. There's men on this earth that have that faith, man. Lord willing, we be of that number. But you got to believe that, man. You got to believe that the Lord is going to preserve you personally, you know?
I got the account. This is perfect time. This is Matthew chapter 8 and verse 23. And when he was entered into a ship, his disciples followed him. And behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea, insomuch that the ship was covered with the waves, but he was asleep. And his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us, we perish. And he said unto them, why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. But the men marveled, saying, what manner of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him?
Man, it's a lot of spiritual takeouts we can take from that. You know, because that tempest, that storm is going to manifest itself by way of these troops, like it says in Isaiah 59:19. You know, the enemy shall come in like a flood. That's going to be the tempest that we face with. You know, the winds of destruction. You know, the beasts of destruction. That's what we're going to be faced with. But at the same time, the Lord rebuked these things. And through the Spirit, man, we have the power to rebuke these things as well. As long as we have faith, as long as we trust, we have the power to do the same thing. The Lord said, greater works than these shalt thou do.
That's right.
So if He said it, He meant it.
And to add what you were saying, if I can, when the brother was saying how Yahweh Shai was resting in the ship. Now, if you think about it, before they got confirmation from Yahweh Shai how safe they was going to be, does that really mean they wasn't safe through the storm?
Right.
See, but they was waiting on that confirmation. But see, we don't have to wait for confirmation, man. Our faith is bigger than that. Okay, we don't need carnal things to know that the Lord's going to save. We know that the Lord's going to save, but we know He's going to save His very elect. And that's what we pray to be.
Right.
If I may say, because Yahweh Shai, He was constantly, that wasn't the only time Yahweh Shai was looking at the disciples. Yahweh Shai was constantly getting on the disciples because of their lack of faith. Because that's supposed to be automatic as far as our faith.
Because you walking with the Lord. You sitting there with the man that's doing miracles.
Right.
So why are you doubting? You know, that's why he was so angry with him. Because you sitting here with me. You claim I'm the Lord, right?
Right. It's like he was teaching, but they want to learn something.
Yahushua was with them, like the brother said, and Yahushua told him, I'm with you now, but there's gonna come a time I'm not gonna be with you. So y'all better get it while you can. I got two more.
I got Matthew 17. It's Matthew chapter 17 and verse 18. You know what? I'll start at verse 14. And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man, kneeling down to him and saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is lunatic and sore vexed. For oft times he falleth into the fire, and oft into the water. And I brought him to thy disciples, and they could not cure him. And then Yahushua answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring them hither to me. Let me get that in the NLT. That verse 17. Matthew 17 and 17.
We'll tell you what verse 21.
Yeah.
It's Matthew 17 and 17 in the NLT. It reads, Yahushua said, you faithless and corrupt people, how long must I be with you? How long must I put up with you? Bring the boy here to me.
So, and he's talking to his disciples.
Right.
And this is all strictly on faith, as we go read. This is what really got Yahushua upset. There was a lot of things that got him upset, but this is one of those main ones. Faithlessness, being doubtful, being fearful. There's a difference between fearing the Lord and then fearing the circumstance. It's a huge difference. We believe in the Lord. If we believe in the Lord, then we believe that anything is possible as far as salvation. That's what our record shows us. This is why people covet our book to this day. Because no other book has accounts of deliverance like this. And you can match up with what's going on in the world. Global flood. The ark on the mountain. That's our records of things that seem impossible to men. But with the Lord, nothing is impossible. You want one?
I got one.
All right.
This is Isaiah chapter 41 and 10. Fear not, fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy power.
But you got to remember, hope that is seen is not hope. Because if the Lord just cracked the clouds and winked at you, you'll be moving in the world like easy mode.
Right.
You'll be playing the game like Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
That's why the Lord had to make this real. This flesh is real. Yahushua said that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. When you go into the account, Yahushua sweat blood. That means there's a level of stress, and then there's that level of stress. And we've never experienced that level of stress when you literally, the blood vessels that's supposed to pour out water, pour out blood, because they done burst. But he was willing, the spirit was willing, but the body, the flesh that we in, that's what brings those thoughts, those doubts. We got to fight that with the scriptures.
I say that again, Isaiah chapter 41 and 10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy power. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee, yea, I will uphold thee with my right hand of my righteousness.
Woo! And that's Yahushua, the right hand. The right hand of righteousness. And that was a will. That wasn't a maybe. That wasn't a might. I'll see what I can do. I'll check my schedule. That was a will. And that's what we're being gathered for through the Spirit. We're being gathered for that. We're being reserved from this world. Anything that the Lord push away from you, it don't belong. It's going to impede your progress. That's why the Lord has separated us from this world. The same value system we have is completely different from the value system in this world. That is us being built up internally. Because this world don't value the Spirit of the Lord, confidence in the Lord, integrity, honor in the Lord, in the spiritual way. It's all about outward and vanity. But we're learning something completely different, but we have to learn it the hard way. Yeah. It's got to be hard. It's got to be real. It's got to be tough for everybody. Everybody involved. Your battle might be different from his, and his might be different from yours. But it's the same requirement of strength. Some brothers are stronger in certain areas than others. But we're all being groomed to be princes and judges under Hamashiach. That is our journey. And that's why the apostles always say that you got to learn to love the suffering. And when you first come in, it might be like, damn, I gotta learn to love it. But then you understand the process. Look at who you is now compared to 3 years ago. Look at your journey from here 3 years ago. Who you was 3 years ago to who you is now. And tell me you would be the same person without all the shit the Lord put you in. It wouldn't. We had to go through we have to go through this. That's how we can know the Lord for ourselves personally.
Yep, and coming to those fearful moments is important. You know, coming to the brink of that feeling like, man, is the Lord still dealing with me? That's important. Because when we come to that moment, we come to the understanding that the more we face those situations and we call upon the Lord, the more He delivers. So we learn how to call upon the Lord. We learn how to trust in the Lord to get us out of these certain predicaments. Because there's going to come a time in where, in your walk in this truth, there's going to be a moment like, damn, Lord, you still, am I?
I wish I had that moment.
He had
That's
that
what I was
moment.
thinking about.
He had that same exact moment.
He held on to his integrity.
Yeah.
That's it, bro.
He said, why is thou forsaken?
That's it.
He got to a point where this is the King of Kings. And he got to a point where he felt like the Lord left him. So we all gonna have these moments. And I think that through the Spirit, it's a beautiful thing that the Lord leave all of these things into the accounts. The prayer in the garden, all of these things to let us know that, yeah, we're gonna have these moments. But we don't stay down. That ain't our blood, that ain't our stock. The men of our nation don't stay down. That ain't what we come from. We've learned that here. And we're unlearning that through what we go through. Your job, your car, your rent, all of that shit is to build up your faith in the Lord. Because the moment you become detached from it, that's when you really start to trust the Lord. But it gotta happen the hard way. It's gotta hurt. You might lose a woman, you might lose a car, you might lose a job. But then 6 months down the line, you figure, damn, I ain't even need this shit. Or the Lord dropped you off into a better situation. Then you grow. We have to do this all as sons. Yahweh Shah can't be the only one carrying the burden. We have to carry our burden. Ours just not as heavy as his. And that's what you want. You want something that you felt like you at least tried to earn. Because we can never earn this truth. That's why this is a light affliction. The best thing we can do through the Spirit is when Yahweh Shah pull up, we know we gave it all we got. Whatever that is. You got it.
Matthew chapter 27, verse 45. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour, Yahushua cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is to say, my power, why hast thou forsaken me?
In the most terrible moment of his situation. Because to die on the cross, you basically suffocate. You have to decide if you're going to deal with the pain of the devil and push yourself up. Because the longer you hang down, you suffocate.
And each breath, it hurts.
This is after being scourged, having the flesh ripped off your back. And at one of the most terrible moments of his whole situation, he thought the Lord left him. So we're going to have moments where you have these moments where the flesh tries to sow seeds of doubt. You ain't a man, boy. You ain't gonna make it. Nah, not you. You remember what you did when you was in the world? Nah, not a chance. That's your flesh. And we all gonna have the moments, so we have to fight those things with the scriptures. That's why the Lord said He's gonna give us a comforter. You ain't alone. None of us are alone. We all got different battles, but it's the same requirement, faith. We all have to deal with that. We all have to be baptized when we're baptized. And it don't feel good. And that's why in Hebrews 12 chapter it says, now chastening for the present moment is not joyous. You don't take no L in this all funny game. You walk around giggling, but you understand, like, all right, I understand. I know what this is. Yeah, it don't feel good, but I'm gonna push through. And then you realize why the Lord put us through certain things. You wouldn't appreciate the person if you didn't take this to heart.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 17, verse 12. For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the support which reason offereth.
So it says, one more time.
For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the support which reason offereth.
So you betray your reason by fear, because what that's saying is that Your fear comes from what you imagine. It's not even in front of you. Your fear is completely imagination. You got it.
Next verse 2.
For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the supports which reason offers.
Look, it said, read it one more time.
For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the supports which reason offers.
What's the chorus? Help. So if you already know, the Lord already say, you're going to have this help. Why you second guessing yourself?
Right.
Read it again.
For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the supports which reason offereth.
Now the scripture already said in Romans 8:24, I read it. But the elect will be saved by hope, man. Right? So your hope is already there. But the fear that Esau put in our people got them thinking that the hope that we're expecting to hope for, that's the salvation that's supposed to come that we can't see, it ain't gonna come.
Right.
Because we don't see it.
Right.
So he taught our ass to be carnal-minded.
Right.
Yeah. I need to touch this. I need to see that. If the Lord came down, everybody believe.
Right. Right.
The downtown be packed all night. Right now, everybody got lined up with food. I brought wine. We got myrrh, frankincense, oils. It'll be packed out here right now. That ain't how the Lord work, man. Go ahead, read it again.
For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the supports which reason offers.
So a betraying of the help that your reason offers.
Right.
If I may say
In
this,
2 Timothy 1:7, the Lord say, He didn't give us a spirit of fear.
I got that. Beautiful, man.
Bring it out.
Marty, how about you?
It's the 2 Timothy chapter 1:7. For power hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
A sound mind.
The Holy Spirit. The words we read, the accounts of our forefathers being delivered. The fear gets in the way of that. Because you imagining something that ain't even in front of you. Matter of fact, that next verse gonna say it. You got it?
if I may say something on that verse
Yeah.
too, you know, it says, I like this precept because it says, Solomon surmised it all to say, for fear is nothing else
Right.
but a betraying
Betraying.
of the succors which reason offers. And when
Right.
you go into reason, it's faith.
Right.
Because what reason is going into logic, right? Not
Right.
logic is
Right.
from the scriptures.
Right.
And the scriptures teach us to have faith.
Come.
So fear is nothing else but a betraying of the help which reason faith offers us.
Already gonna be there.
Wisdom, right? Wisdom,
Yeah.
right? That's cool.
Verse 13.
Matter of fact, read them both again. One more time. All of both together.
For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the supports which reason offereth, and the expectation from within, being less, counteth the ignorance more than the cause which bringeth the torment.
That's that flesh, right? That's that flesh fighting against the spirit, man.
So read that second verse one more time.
And the expectation from within,
So your expectation in your own mind of what's about to happen.
Right.
You got it.
being less, counteth the ignorance more than the cause which bringeth the torment.
So it's counted less because you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
So you're imagining the worst case scenario, and it's not even in front of you.
That comes from not being rooted and grounded in the truth. I'm telling you, Colossians, man. Being rooted and established in the faith, man. We got to be rooted and established in the faith, man. That way you won't waver. Go ahead. You got it.
One more time.
And the expectation from within, being less, counteth the ignorance more than the cause which bringeth the torment.
So you not knowing is worse than what's actually happening in front of you.
Right. Overthinking.
That's what it's saying. It's saying your fear is really just you inside of your mind thinking about the ignorance of the fact that you don't know, basically, the worst case scenario
That's
that you
the
don't
flesh,
know.
man.
Hey, and it says it counted. If you read that last one,
Yeah, you gotta read that one slow because it's a lot of
Counteth the ignorance more than the cause which bringeth the torment.
more than the cause which bringeth the torment. And we know Yahweh Shem Yahushua is bringing the torment.
Right, right.
So our expectation being less from within, it's like we count that ignorance, like the bro said. What we can't see,
Yeah.
more than we count on Yahweh Shem Yahushua, who's actually bringing
Right.
it.
That's that flesh taking over the spirit, man. That's what happened. The flesh take over the spirit, man.
Come.
That's
And when
all
the-
it is.
And when the flesh take over the spirit, it's nothing but
It's a wrap.
mortality. It's a wrap.
It's over.
That's a cold.
Yeah.
That's a cold.
Yeah, man.
You got,
I got two.
go ahead.
One in
Can I bring this up for you? This is John chapter 6 and 63. It is the spirit that quickeneth,
Right.
the flesh profiteth nothing.
go.
The word that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life.
There it is.
Yeah. They say the flesh profiteth nothing, man. Why? Because when you think mortally, you nothing but you have nothing to expect but a mortal death, man. You have nothing but to expect but vainness, man. But when your conversation is constantly in the heavens, your expectation is greater.
Right.
You know, we have a greater expectation to what's coming to us. We have a greater expectation to how the Lord is working within us, man. Which causes us to move different. It causes us to think different, man. You know, we have a renewed hope. We don't walk around the earth.
Right. That woe is me spirit.
Well, because we already know what the deal is, man.
Right.
We know what the Lord coming with, and we know what the Lord is already doing.
That's about being rooted. That's about being rooted and established.
So I'm you got one? Go ahead.
This is Philippians chapter 1, verse 20. According to my earnest expectation and my hope, that in nothing I shall be ashamed, but that with all boldness, as always, so now also Hamashiach shall be magnified in my body, whether it be by life or by death. For to me to live is Hamashiach, and to die is gain.
Hey,
Keep reading on that.
Come. But if I live in the flesh,
So we need to be here. It tell you in 2 Ezra 13 that those that be left behind are more blessed than they that be dead. Go ahead.
this is the fruit of my labor.
Right? Hold on, read it again.
Come. This is Philippians chapter 1 and 22. But if I live in the flesh,
Right?
this is the fruit of my labor.
Right.
Yet what I shall choose, I wot not.
Right?
For I am in a strait betwixt two,
Right?
having a desire to depart
Right?
to be with Hamashiach,
Right?
which is far better.
This is far better. Right? You don't got to be here to deal with the garbage and bullshit. Go ahead.
Nevertheless,
Nevertheless,
to abide in the flesh
is what?
is more needful for you.
It's more needed for us, man, to do this work, man. This is how we get built up in the faith. This is how we get rooted and established in the faith. Have you can hold it in Colossians? Go ahead.
I got one real quick.
Come.
Colossians
It's
2 and 6.
John chapter 17 and verse 15. I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world,
Right.
but that thou shouldest keep them from the evil.
There it is, man. See, this is the battle that the Lord put us in these fleshly bodies, man. This is the flesh fighting against the spirit. And them that the Lord have chosen, the spirit always overcome them. As I want to read, matter of fact, this is Titus 3.
And that's why brothers go through those situations where they have them thoughts of wanting to be in the spirit world. But you got to look at the Lord's prayer. What did he pray for?
Right.
He said, I don't want you to go in the spirit world.
Right.
There's certain brothers that are going to go. But it's needful for us to be here. Your life in itself, coming to this truth in itself, is a testimony of how about you now shot. Think about your aunties, your uncles, your cousins, all the bullshit you had to deal with, while still trying to learn yourself. That's a testimony in itself. While you may have wanted to just go ahead and skip to the easy part and I just go in the spirit world and just come back.
Right.
When everything is all clear, when the smoke is clear. We all want that.
Right.
Every brother thought about that at some point. But then when you look at what the Lord prayed for before he got on that cross, he said, I don't want them to be taken out of the world. Just keep them from the evil. Let them see your power.
If I may say, that word keep, I think the Greek word is terio.
Bring it up.
It goes into help.
Bring it up. Bring it up.
And they tell you in you got Luke 17 and 10.
Right.
Holding that?
I hold it, but I'll drop it from Colossians 2 and 6.
Bring it up. Oh, and matter of fact, while you're getting that, get Romans 12 and 1 first, and then read Luke 17 and 10.
This is Romans 12 and verse 1.
This is why Paul said, to be with Hamashiach is far better, but to be here is more needful. Go ahead.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Heavenly Father, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto the Heavenly Father, which is your reasonable service.
This is how we get back to the Heavenly Father Yahweh, man. Through Yahweh shot by our daily sacrifices, man. Now go ahead and read Luke.
Luke 17 and 10. So likewise ye, when ye shall have done all those things which are commanded you, say we are unprofitable servants.
Right.
We have done that which was our duty. we have done that which was our duty to do.
We have done that which is our duty to do. And that's what we get on you guys that sit behind the keyboard on YouTube. You don't got no street ministries, man. This is our duty, man, to present our bodies a living sacrifice. For Yahweh, by the name of Shah. You got
It's John chapter 17 and verse 15. I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou shouldest keep them from the evil.
And that word for keep, the Greek word is terio. The definition it says to tend to carefully, take care of, to guard, to keep one in the state in which he is, to observe, to reserve, to undergo something.
To reserve.
Yep.
To reserve.
Yeah. So again it says, John 17 and 15, I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou shouldest keep them from the evil. So as bad as we want to go to the spirit world sometimes, the Lord prayed that we would stay here and endure affliction, right, to strengthen ourselves and be built up. That's why we're here, through the spirit, and to help build up the next brother.
Right.
You never know. You never know. You might have a co-worker, you might have one of your cousins, a distant cousin that just heard about you going into the truth. And just off of you having the strength to leave them alone. They
might figure out what's going on with bro.
like it said in Peter, they ask you of the hope that is in you.
Right. Get that. 1 Peter 3 and 15.
Yeah, that's why through the spirit, your life in itself is a testimony to this truth, man. Your granny, your mom and them, whatever they done said about you, that's a testimony, because the longer you stay, the more you get built up, the less you care about what they did, the more they're going to inquire. And the brother brought it out beautifully. That's why it's not about what you're doing on camera, because your family is watching your actions, not your words.
This is 1 Peter chapter 3 and 15. But sanctify the Lord power in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear.
Right. It says sanctify. You need to set yourself apart, man. That's what the Lord said in 2 Corinthians 6 and 14. Right? He not eating together with unbelievers, man. I read that Colossians 2 and 6 real quick.
It's Colossians 2 and 6.
Yep.
As ye have therefore received from Mashiach Yahushua the Lord,
Right.
so walk ye in him,
Right.
rooted and built up in him, and established in the faith.
Now it said, walk ye in him. In 1 Peter 4 and 1, it said, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind as Yahushua. So, if you ain't walking and minding the same things, what are you doing? The flesh taking over, man. That was it. Oh, I want to read this. Titus 3 and 3, again, for we ourselves also were sometimes foolish, disobedient, deceived, serving divers lusts and pleasures, living in malice and envy, hating one another. But after that, the kindness of love, of power, that our Savior toward man appeared, not by works of righteousness, which we have done, but according to his mercy, he saved us by the washing of regeneration and renewing of the Holy Spirit, which he shed on us abundantly through Yahushua Mashiach our Savior. So it said by the washing of the regeneration. In Matthew 19, Peter asked the Lord this. This is Matthew 19 and 27. Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we receive therefore? Yahushua said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, he also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. He said, ye that follow me in the regeneration. Again, Titus 3 and 5, it reads, not by works of righteousness, which we have done, but according to his will, he saved us by the washing of regeneration. Man. The spirit of the prophets are subject to the prophet. The lives don't change, man.
It's 2nd Esdras chapter 4 and verse 33. Then I answered and said, how and when shall these things come to pass? Wherefore are our years few and evil? And he answered me, saying, Do not thou hasten above the Most Highest, for thy haste is in vain to be above him, for thou hast much exceeded. Did not the souls also of the righteous ask question of these things in their chambers, saying, How long shall I hope on this fashion? When cometh the fruit of the floor of our reward? And unto these things Uriel, the archangel, gave them answer and said, Even when the number of seeds is filled in you.
The elect is sealed. Oh, yeah. That's what the Lord said. Hey, can you give me Revelation 17? 17, you got it.
Verse 36, and unto these things Uriel, the archangel, gave them answer and said, Even when the number of seeds is filled in you.
Hold on. Read that.
This is Revelation chapter 17 and 17. For power hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will.
To my EU, NATO, and Babylon, right? To fulfill his will. To what?
And to agree,
Right?
and to give their kingdom unto the beast,
Right?
until the words of power shall be fulfilled.
What's the words of the Lord being fulfilled? He reading it right here. Romans 7, Revelation 7, till the elect is sealed. You got it.
2nd Esdras 4 and 36. And unto these things Uriel, the archangel, gave them answer and said, Even when the number of seeds is filled in you, for he hath weighed the world in the balance. By measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times. And he doth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. So we had to do this. We had to go through our trial. We had to go through multiple lifetimes of this. That's what it means when it says the seed is filled in you.
Right.
Like when you get to that right lifetime and it's all fulfilled, that's when you're going to get the reward. You got to think, Abraham died without the promise.
That's right.
He left his father. He walked, and in the ancient world, you would just that was your whole life gone. If you wrong, you wrong. That's the kind of faith he had, and he knew in that lifetime he wasn't going to receive the reward. That's the kind of faith we come from. That's the stock we come from. So imagine it not being saved out of a 3-bedroom apartment or a 2-bedroom apartment. It's really small compared to our forefathers leaving their homeland to go somewhere they ain't never been before. That's small. That's why the scriptures call us a light affliction. Because the Lord is with us, and every day he reminds us of that. You just got to be able to look at it and understand it.
And to build on what the brother said, if I may, man, we got to adopt that same kind of stock. If we come from that same kind of stock, we have to have that understanding that it's built in us to have that kind of faith. So we got to start exercising that kind of faith, man. It's one thing for a man to say he got faith, okay, but application is key, man, right? And that's what we got to focus on, the truth, man. This is what we got. If it came from our forefathers, then it has to come down to us, right? And if Abraham's faith, he's talking about Abraham's faith, okay? He didn't see the kingdom, but guess what? We're back now in that same lot, but we got to have 10 times that faith. And us knowing the lineage we come from, that we have that built in us to have, right?
No, you got it.
Hebrews chapter 11, verse 8. It says, By faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he...
Hey, you can start at verse 1, hey, verse 2, and then verse 6.
Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report.
Right, and by faith our elders obtained a good report. So it said faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not evidence of things not seen. You know, when you go into that word substance, sub, under, standing, stance. You know, faith is the understanding of the things hoped for and the evidence of the things not seen. You know, and by it our elders obtained a good report. You know, by faith our elders were able to please Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And we try to come in that same state.
I can say this world will make you think that having faith is strange, but they have faith in the Big Bang. They wasn't there. They just believed that on face value because they heard it in 3rd grade. They heard that shit in 3rd grade and they've been rocking with it ever since. It requires faith for them. So don't never let them make you think that your belief and your confidence in the Lord is strange. This world is strange.
Right.
This world is awesome.
Right.
It's a pleasure, it's an honor to be reviled in a world like this, man. That's why through the Spirit we have to take these things on the chin and bear our indignation. Because the reward is far greater than what we suffer right now.
Verse 6. But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to the Most High must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him.
So it ain't just about believing that the Lord exists. It's also about believing that he's a rewarder. That's the hard part right there. That's why it's added at the end. Because it takes a level of faith to believe that the Lord is, but then it takes another level to believe he's dealing with you. That takes a different level of faith. To believe that the Lord is literally with you everywhere you go, and he's going to protect you, and he's going to beam you up if you just wait to get beamed. That's a different level of faith that we're rehearsing now. We're being built up for it now. So when Jacob's trouble hit, and we don't have videos, and we don't have brothers, that faith that you have, that confidence in the Lord, is all you're going to have. You want to be built up for that.
Watching men that's apt to teach have that faith as an example. Okay, because you didn't want, listen, the best basketball player watched Jordan. You don't watch the base players to be the best. You see what I'm saying? So we had to have that we had to watch men exercise that kind of faith. And then we had to be taught by men also. You see what I'm saying? So if I could do this real quick, this is 2 Timothy chapter 2, I'm gonna start at verse 1. You can jump on it. Thou therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Hamashiach Yahushai, and the things that thou hast heard of me amongst many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also.
Right, and this is what this word is for. You know, this is why we come out here and do the ministry. You know, to draw in those souls that are like-minded.
Right.
You know, to draw in those men who have the ability to understand this word and teach others also. You know, that's the whole point of this truth is for growth. We receive the seed grows within us, the fruit, we bear fruit, and then it goes into the next brother, and the next brother, and the next brother. That's how it is, you know?
Back in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 8, by faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he after received for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went. By faith.
And that's another thing, because we read the aftermath, and we rarely put ourselves in a position of being right there in the middle before the story is complete. He just left. Just off the strength, off the muscle, like, I'm out of here. Not knowing. And we get to read the conclusion of the matter. Right now, we're living in the middle of the story for us. Wherever you at right now, this is towards the end of your story. And I'm talking about the end of mortality. Because there's going to be a switch where this mortal is going to put on the immortal. And then you have to look back at your lifetimes and consider your integrity through multiple lifetimes, with this one being the most important. The scripture said we're going to look back at this time and laugh. It's hard to imagine now because right now, we ain't even in the conclusion of our own stories. We don't know how it's going to play out for us. Abraham didn't either. We just get to read the conclusion, but we saw him hold firm through it all so that we can remember to do the same thing. Are we going to do it perfectly every time? No. If we could, Yahushua wouldn't have need to come down and die for us. But now that we have it, we rehearse the righteous acts now to display that same faith. Our forefathers is no different from us. They just the ones that the Lord chose, and they believe the Lord. That's the stock we come from. And I say this again, remember, these are just the stories that were important enough to leave for us. Far more things happen for brothers. There were many prophets. We just get the ones that are needful for now. You have to remember that. Miracles were done in print. Yahushua and other prophets did many miracles. These are just the ones that matter for us right now. So we can look back at this and say, okay, it can happen for us too. Shalom. It can happen for us too. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to look back at this time and be like, all right, well, if the Lord saved Daniel from lions twice, why am I tripping about our apartment? This is the stock I come from. Our forefather Abraham just left. He urged Chaldees and just packed his bags and walked. He didn't catch an Uber. He had to foot that.
That's right.
You got it up.
Verse 9, by faith he sojourned in a land of promise as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which hath foundations, whose builder and maker is the Most High. Through faith, also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed.
Hey, so, keep that in mind. Our forefather ain't have no city. He dwelt in tents with the heirs. Yeah, hey, let's move.
Yeah, it's not raining.
Transition again, I can bear with us real quick.
I was showing
Man, that's cold. Abraham was robbed.
the money back.
No.
I just started back.
Money back.
It just started that raining.
It's raining hard?
Yeah, it's a tree. That's a tree? Yeah.
Got a little drip.
It's raining, bro. It's raining, bro.
It's raining.
Not the tree.
Yeah, it's raining. It just stopped, because it had stopped, bro.
did stop.
I was finna tell you, let move.
Alright.
Yeah, it's starting.
This is spirit.
Yeah, that
about
demon
that,
gone now, so we should go.
Bro, that's cold. Let's say that he was dwelling in the tents with the heirs.
Yeah. Read
He
that
never
again,
had a
huh?
continual city. Never. The city of David, he ain't never had, man, he ain't had none of that during that time. Straight tabernacle. Man, bro.
That's why the scripture says, "I'll raise unto David a righteous branch."
Man, bro.
Yeah, we ain't doing it.
Man, that's cold. You got it?
Yep.
I don't even go back to sleep. I want to
How you get the comment board though? Let's see. Let's see what we got going on. All right.
Read that again.
Back in Hebrews chapter 11, I'll read verse 9 again. By faith he sojourned in the land of promise as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which hath foundations, whose builder and maker is the Most High. Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed, and was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised. Therefore sprang there even of one.
Hey, think about that, right? Not only did Sarah have a child in her old age, but the Lord said, give him up. The woman that you love finally give you a child and she's old. You didn't even think that was possible.
Right.
But then yet there was more required. This is the stock we come from. So when you think about your problems, look at, we read bigger, we read meat problems that require meat faith. That's why through the Spirit, this is a beautiful journey. It's hard, yeah. You catching hell, yeah, it's hard. And it's okay to admit it's hard. Yeah, it hurt. Yeah, you lost that one that you wanted. Yeah, okay. It's okay. Lick your wounds, get up. Yeah, you lost that gig. All right, it's cool. It hurt. Dust yourself off. But this is what our forefathers was going through. Abraham got circumcised at 99. Abraham got circumcised at 99 years old. In the ancient world, that means he had to sit and deal, no anesthesia. No anesthesia, he had to go through that at 99. Just to give you a frame of reference of the type of stock that we come from. The world has taught us as Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that we ain't shit. But when you look at our records, we are the shit. We the only thing worth talking about through the spirit of power, how about Shemar Shah. And it ain't because of us, it's because of him. Bro, our forefather got circumcised at 99. And I've been through that process while I was in the truth. with all of this medical shit that they got going on now, and it was tough.
Right.
In this world.
Right.
Live in the camp. It was tough in this world. He did it at 99, bro. You got it. He did that, bro.
Verse 12. Therefore sprang there even of one in him as good as dead, so many as the stars of the sky in multitude, and as the sand which is by the seashore innumerable. These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth.
You gotta ask yourself, will Abraham be proud of you? That's the question. This is what he did to show that he was a friend to the Lord. And we ain't gonna do this perfect. We're not gonna have an Abraham perfect situation where we check all the boxes. If we did, there would be no need for Yahushua to be tortured and murdered. We're here to learn this and appreciate it.
Nah, so like, hey, get I ain't mean to cut you off, bro.
Now you good.
No. Get Genesis 12 and 1. Remember where Abraham was at, man. We was in the same situation. Got it?
Genesis chapter 12, verse 1.
Right?
Now the Lord has said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee, and I will make of thee a great nation.
You see, that was the point. Read one again.
Now the Lord has said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee.
Hey, what one? Okay,
Go ahead.
One is get out of your father's house.
All right.
The Lord said, Luke 12:51, what? He come to separate a father from his son. Abraham was following his father's heathen customs, worshiping idols, man. The Lord told him, hey, get from there. I got you. That took faith, man. Hold on, my father. Read it one more time, huh?
Now the Lord hath said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee.
Get away from around your family. It said kindred. Get from around the wicked niggas. The Lord said what? A man is without honor except in his own country and amongst his own kin, man. I just want to make that point. You got it, Lord.
Next verse.
Verse 2. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing.
What if you wanted them great fish the Lord promised Abraham? What if you wanted them great fish the Lord promised Abraham? That's the kind of faith that we got to have. These are our fathers, man. These ain't just people we get to read them. Nah, this is the family records. This is the family records. One of your greatest glories is to be able to have a son that moves just like you. To be able to say, yeah, that's my boy right there. The Lord promised him a great nation in their life. We're learning how to walk in that stead. That's why it's a beauty in the suffering that we're going through, because it's making us stronger where it matters. This world taught us to be strong in places that don't even matter. The Lord's teaching us to be strong in ways you can't buy. You can't buy integrity. You can't put a price on integrity. You can't go to the gym and work out and get integrity. Or faith. That has to be given to you as a gift. And then you have to abound in it. That's what we're going through, man.
I got precept.
Yep, you got it. Absolutely.
This is Psalms chapter 101 and 6. Mine eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with me. He that walketh in a perfect way, he shall serve me.
Cool. Hey, the brother brought out a beautiful point. He said, be perfect. Yahushua said that means it's possible. Because all of our imperfections, the tab has been covered, Lord willing, so that we can rehearse the righteous acts now.
Hey, get 2 Timothy 3 and 16.
2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16. All scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works.
To all good, thoroughly furnished to all good works, man. Exercise the spirit of Yahweh Shemon.
Yeah. You want to go ahead and give him the Daniel 8?
Yeah. We can do it. Yeah.
I'm ready to get into it.
Hey, before we do that, we do a review of last week.
Come.
Hey, so, y'all brothers remember, let's go to Revelation 17 and 9.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
We're expecting that one along.
Let's go.
Break out the
Let's
pad.
go. Yeah.
17 to 9.
Yeah. We just doing like a recap from last week.
17 tenths, like
Yeah.
17.
We at the bottom of the camp now, so we want to start utilizing this little 30 minutes, however long. We have brothers on point.
it reads, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come, and when he cometh, he must continue a short space. Who are those 5 that are fallen?
5 that are fallen.
Revelation 17 and verse 10. 5 that were fallen. Can any brothers recall who those were?
You know the elder. Man. We got one of them. One of them. The 5 that are fallen. Just one of them. Greeks.
That's it.
That's one of them. All right, yeah. Let's get another. Germanium major. Bro. Nah. 5 that are fallen.
Rome was at that time.
Where it says one is yet to come, but 5 are fallen. We got Greeks and Germanium major, right? 17 to 10. We'll come back to you.
I was looking up.
Persia? Nah.
No. This some of the 7 head beasts, and tell which is the beast of the Esau Edom.
Right.
Oh, well, I get he wasn't here when we went over, so he probably got to go over it again.
All right. That's good though. That's good that we're doing a review.
Yeah, we'll
so
go
we
over
can
it.
catch it.
7 heads from NATO.
Yeah.
Right. That's
7 heads and 10 horns.
But we're dealing with the 5 that are fallen.
Right.
The 17 and 10. Now you mentioned the Greeks.
We said Spanish.
So you said Spanish?
Yeah.
All right. So that's 3. That's 3 right now.
We just said Spanish. French.
French. That's another one. So we got one more.
We got one more.
So we mentioned the Greeks. Nah, he already mentioned Germanium major.
German.
Minor.
No.
You got it. The elder got it. So that's Germanium major, Germanium minor, the French, the Greeks, and Spanish.
I was just looking at that too.
Oh wait, no, you're good. You're
I was just looking at well, was the Germanium major and Germanium minor at?
It's an Asian, man. Like going toward Turkey.
Well, they was with they was a part of the Roman Empire. They was like around that area. Yeah. So go ahead, you got it.
Who's the one that is?
Right.
That's it.
Beautiful.
That's it.
Let's get it.
It says, and the other is yet to come, and when he cometh, he must continue a short space. Who's the one to come?
Great.
That's it. That's it. All right, so we're gonna touch on Daniel chapter 7.
Hold on, you got it.
I got
The 5 fallen, the 1 is, and the 1 was to come.
Nah, I ain't got it.
So what you got? You got the 5 that's fallen.
I got 4 beasts. 4 beasts that came up out of the sea, Mediterranean.
We in Revelation
we in
17 and 10.
Revelation 17.
Oh, I ain't.
You talking about Daniel 7?
Yeah, I'm talking about Daniel 7.
No, we're in Revelation 17. Remember you was here?
I was here, yo.
Yeah, you mentioned one. You had mentioned one of them. So you got the 5 that are fallen, Germanium major, Germanium minor, the Greeks, the Spanish, and the French. Those are the 5 that are fallen. So it said 1 that is.
So this is Revelation. Okay. I gotta do a whole thing.
You want some time? You got a pen?
I say,
You got a pen?
yeah.
up in the same area. Rome. Rome.
So, hey, go ahead and review our series.
So, once again, Revelation 17 and 9, or 17 and 10, just so brothers got it. Those 5 that are fallen, our brothers comfortable on who those are? Comfortable in who those 5 are fallen?
Greece, Spain, French, German, Major, and German minor. Right.
Yes, sir. And then the one that is?
Great.
Rome.
Rome. Right.
And the one that is to come is Great.
It said the 8th that's of the 7th. We know it's who?
Right.
So, all right, so we're going to move on to Daniel, the 7th chapter.
8th chapter.
I was going to...
Oh, okay.
And we're going to start off at the first verse. Now this is going into those 4 beasts, which we know is going into 4 empires. What you got from the top?
This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream, and the visions of his head were upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea.
All right, now that great sea. Do any of you know what that great sea is talking about? Yes, sir.
Verse 3, and 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
All right, so the first beast.
You got it.
So the first beast. Do any of you know what that first beast is?
Syrian, Medo, Babylon.
It's this.
The Assyrian, Medo, Babylonian.
No.
One at a time.
Oh, okay. That's Syrian. Okay.
That's the Syrian Empire. Beautiful. It says, the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given unto it. Now when it says to stand upon the feet as a man, what is that talking about?
It's given a heart.
It says, I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon the feet as a man. Made to stand upon the feet as a man.
And that's being in a fallen state.
Go ahead, you want to answer?
From what I understood, it represented Nebuchadnezzar and how he had a strong mind.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That heart of man is talking about Nebuchadnezzar.
Wings being plucked off of what? So the lion that had the wings plucked off.
Taken down like slow process.
The Assyrians were taken down, and Babylon was established. Remember last weekend we talked about Nebuchadnezzar was actually an Assyrian. And he defected from the Assyrian Empire to create the Neo-Babylonian Empire. So those wings was plucked up, and the heart of the man that was given to him was basically Nebuchadnezzar in his reign in Babylon. Because he was the greatest king that they had. Oh, real quick. I just wanted to show y'all, we're looking for some maps. You keep mentioning Germania Major and Germania Minor. Let's get you an idea right here. Germania, the bottom one is the one that's the biggest. Germania Superior, and Germania Say it again.
It say Germania Inferior encompassed much of modern day Belgium and Netherlands.
So if you didn't get that, Germania Minor encompass modern day
It say
Belgium.
Germania Major, Germania Superior, which is major, encompass an area of today's western Switzerland, the French.
So Germania Major is modern day Switzerland and French. Germania Minor was Belgium and what else?
It say modern day Belgium and Netherlands.
Modern day Belgium and the Netherlands.
So this that area.
Couldn't catch it.
I
Couldn't
got a
hear
better
it.
one.
Come.
Trying to move this portion.
Mention them again.
So it say Germania Superior.
Can y'all icon on the comment board?
Encompass parts of modern
Can y'all
day
hear?
Switzerland, southwest Germany, and eastern France. While Germania Inferior encompassed much of modern day Belgium and Netherlands.
So this would be, so when you look at this ancient map of it, see that ancient map, you look at the modern map, this was the minor. This area right here,
What?
major. And those are the same nations that are Luxembourg. Luxembourg is one of the 10.
One of the 10 horns, yup. Luxembourg, Denmark,
Netherlands. I know
the Lombards, whoever, the Visigoths.
Yeah, because with the 10, oh, that's another one. We'll deal with it.
Yeah.
You got it up.
Yep. All right, you hear me?
I'm sorry, first 5, right?
Yes, sir.
This is Daniel chapter 7 and 5. And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh.
All right, so the second was likened to a bear. What empire is this speaking about? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's speaking about the Medo-Persian Empire. All right, can you read it again?
Come.
This is Daniel chapter 7 and 5. And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one
It
side.
raised up itself on one side. What is this speaking about?
Persia was mightier than Media.
Right, the Persians overtook the Medes. You got it.
And it had 3
The
ribs.
Persians were more dominant concerning that empire. Yeah.
And it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it.
Those 3 ribs.
Babylon, Egypt, and Lydia.
Yes, sir.
Right. Beautiful.
You got it.
Got that?
And they said thus.
And what that's going into what else also?
Because they came from the east,
Right.
and they conquered in those directions, like Egypt, because that was toward the west.
Egypt was toward the
Or no, Babylon was towards the west, I believe.
So it was, you got it right. You came from the east,
Yeah.
and they got the west, north, and south.
West.
Yeah.
You have any questions about any of this, brother? Let us know. Stop everything, make sure you got it.
That's 3 ribs.
Yeah. Babylon, Egypt, and Lydia.
And Lydia?
Yeah.
Who's Lydia now?
Beautiful. That's a beautiful point. Who is Lydia now? Let's find out. Beautiful. Yeah. Lydia today. Beautiful point. You got me on that one, bro. You got it? Look it up.
It says Lydia was captured finally by Turkish Beyliks, which were all absorbed by the Ottoman state in 1390. The area became part of the Ottoman Aden Vilayet province and is now in the modern Republic of Turkey. I got more on that if you like. That's
So brothers comfortable so far? Those 3 ribs made to stand upon one side. That's it. All right, we're gonna continue on. Verse 6.
Verse 6, Daniel chapter 7 and 6. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard.
Another like a leopard. What empire is this? Greece. Yes, sir. You got it.
Which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl.
You got it.
The beast had also 4 heads.
All right, the 4 wings of a fowl, and they also have 4 heads.
4 generals?
Yes, sir. Do you know the names of those 4 generals? And who were they generals under? Without looking.
Without looking.
Yeah, without looking.
What's the point here? Let's do one at a time. You got one? Solutions. This is one of them. Ptolemy. You already said solutions. Ptolemy. Those are the 2 guys so far. Sander. Say it again?
Yep.
Antipater? No.
You can never say the name.
That's it. That's it. That's the 4.
Now, Antipater was a general in that time, but they did. I think it was Ptolemy and Seleucus that came and they overtook him. They overtook him concerning Egypt, because Antipater was over Egypt at one point in time, but he wasn't part of the 4 generals then. But it says 4 heads and dominion was given unto it. Let's go down to verse 7.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly.
This 4th beast. Who is this? Yes, sir. Got it.
And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns.
What was the great iron teeth on the 4th beast?
Any of y'all know why it was diverse from all the kingdoms before? What kind of government did they have? Yeah, they had democracy.
Similar to what we have today.
Shit, exactly.
Not similar.
But less corrupted, I guess.
I believe that was the first time when you had like elected officials come into office instead of descendants of the kings, the sons of the kings.
You got that account in Maccabees?
Yeah, First Maccabees 8 and 15, 13.
So 1 Maccabees chapter 8.
Like 15, I think it is. 13, 15.
In verse 13. Yeah. It's 1 Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 15. Moreover, how they had made for themselves a senate house, wherein 320 men sat and counseled daily, consulting always for the people, to end they might be well ordered. To the end they might be well ordered.
So when you deal with senates, this makes this diverse. Now Greece played with it. Greece will play with it, but Rome will perfect it. Remember, Greece is the start. And really, when you deal with the actual Grecians, those are Japhites. In the ancient world, Alexander was known as a Macedonian. So when you hear Alexander the Greek, that's modern. Because when you go into the history, Greece looked at Macedonia like a trailer park.
Right.
So when Philip came in, he came in with this chip on his shoulder because they basically looked at them like insignificant. So when they took over that and became, when you go into the first Maccabees where it talks about the first to reign in his stead,
Right.
that means he's a completely different stock that was running these Grecians. He, there was one of the cities that he completely decimated and put all of their ass in slavery. I think it was Thessaloniki, where you get Thessalonians. I confirm it. Well, it's one of those Greek provinces that he took over and he made an example out of them because they resisted. Man, we ain't about to have no Macedonia. Show us, and he showed up. Like when you really dig through history, you start to see what the Lord was talking about. These niggas was diverse and wicked. And they did this so that we have a city, so we can share the corruption. Because I know if I just wear it myself, y'all would kill me. And Caesar tried to do it in the Roman Empire. And you saw, and now everybody else is called Caesar after him. That's where that name came from. The Caesars, it was from Julius Caesar.
Them that said the council killed him, man.
His Senate killed him.
His Senate killed him.
The senators was the ones killing him. So when you hear diverse from the other beasts before, this is what we see today is the true perfection of what they started.
It says, and they committed their government to one man every year, who ruled over all their country, and that all were obedient to that one, and that there was neither envy nor emulation against him.
Bring yours out. Yeah, kind of.
Is that verse 1?
Yeah.
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece.
Hey, you have to remember, we learn about history from Esau's perspective. So they're gonna always shit on the Persians.
Right.
The Persians had a great empire. It had and that's why it was so shocking that Alexander would defeat the Persians. They'll just use the bag. They'll come through and like, look, we'll drop the gold on you. Y'all take the bag. You saw what 300. You know what they said? They look, take the gold. They was really they was a corporation. That's like Dollar General going against Walmart.
Right.
Like they cool, Dollar General cool, like go in there and buy a couple things, and, you know. But Walmart is Walmart.
Right. We're just about down to now.
That's why the Lord said he was going to show his power by setting up over it the basis of men. These niggas came from Macedon to rule the whole fucking world. That's crazy.
They show you that movie that this guy Xerxes was like, look, just take this bag. Y'all still can do what y'all do. Y'all just near to me. Ain't nothing y'all can do is keep y'all. Hey, take this bag. Right?
The bag.
Keep living. We don't gotta come through here and just mess shit up.
Right.
Just get the bag. Y'all stay on what y'all doing. They ain't wanna fight. Just listen. We gonna make this light as possible. We can get into some gangster shit.
Right.
Can I add this? From what I recall, Persians built their kingdom like based on the people, making their people strong. Macedonian Edomites, they built their kingdom solely on slave labor. Right. And to this day.
Well, I'll say this. The Persians used other so the Persians had a mercenary army. When you go into some of the fights had Greeks fighting with the Persians because they were basically mercenaries. So Persia had gold, they had money, so they could buy. There's accounts of battlefields being filled with ham, all fighting for the Persians. Some of these niggas got war paint on, some of these niggas got horses. They got, because their empire was so vast, they could hire anything. They could grab. That's why for Alexander to defeat that, it was like, man, what the fuck going on out here in the world? Excuse my French. Because we talk about flesh and blood, like this man he could throw bodies at you. He could literally just throw bodies at you until your people give up. And the Lord allowed Alexander to defeat them. That's power. That's the Lord showing power.
In a short period of time too, because it didn't take them. It didn't take them long.
In Daniel's 8, it's gonna go in. You got it. Oh, but you still got the diverse.
Yeah.
Could you go to the part where it says they would have somebody every year reign over them?
Yeah.
Something like that.
So back in 1 Maccabees chapter 1, in verse 8, First Maccabees chapter 8, verse 16. And that they committed their government to one man every year, who ruled over all their country.
Now when you deal with Rome, they had what's called a consul. And I'm gonna read it off of Wikipedia. It says a consul held the highest elected political office of the Roman Republic. And ancient Romans considered the consulship the second highest level of the cursus honorum, an ascending sequence of public offices to which politicians aspired after that of the censor. Each year, the Centuriate Assembly elected 2 consuls to serve jointly for a 1-year term.
So it's like the president and the vice president.
Right. That's exactly what it is. That's cool.
And that all were obedient to that one, and that there was neither envy nor emulation amongst them.
Yeah, that's it on that.
Yeah, that was on that. All right.
You had any more review on 7?
Just verse 8. It says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn,
Right.
before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
There it is. Who was the 3 that was plucked up? By this little one.
Woo.
British, French, Spanish. Who was the little horn? There it is.
Let's go. Let's go.
That's it. I got it.
Let's go. What's the time?
3:37.
3:7. Let's go through half. Let's go through half.
Daniel 8.
All right, we in Daniel the 8th chapter now.
Start verse 1?
Yeah.
Daniel 8, verse 1. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan, in the palace which is in the province of Elam, and I saw in a vision, and I was by the river Ulai. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high. But one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last.
All right, so in the vision, Daniel was seeing a ram, and it had 2 horns, but one of the horns was higher than the other. What is the significance, and what is the meaning of that?
Persians become higher than the Medes.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Hey, could you read the bottom part of that one more time?
And the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last.
Because the Medes did the first lifting. When you deal with Darius the Mede,
Right.
this happens before
He did the heavy lifting.
Persia comes in and they become greater.
Right.
That's why even now you don't hear about the Medes as much as you hear about the Persians.
Right.
Because they came in first, but the Persians, you made a hot line, I made a hot song. They took it and took it to the next level.
and when you go into those horns are representative of power.
Right,
Strength. And so it said that one horn was higher than the other. Persians had more might than the Medes.
And they said that the Persians made the ground strong.
Yeah.
Their army. Of course, Alexander the Great too.
Yeah, he did that too.
Verse 4, I saw the ram pushing westward, and northward and southward.
You see, go them direction again with the ribs and the bear mouth, Lydia, Babylon, and Egypt. You got it.
So
Read that one more time.
I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward.
So that showed you they came in from the east.
Yeah.
North, west, and south. Beautiful.
So that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will.
And see, how can these people say the Apocrypha is not canonized? They tell you right there. They tell you right there. Read that again.
I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward,
Right.
so that no beast might stand before him,
It said that no beast might stand before him. Go ahead.
neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will and became great.
And it's talking about the who? The he goat? The ram.
The ram.
Okay, go ahead.
And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth,
And when you get outside of Daniel, you don't get no more of this history until you go to the Apocrypha.
All right.
Go ahead.
and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes.
Like that he goat. Who is that?
Macedon, Greece,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ram is
Verse 6, and he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had been.
Oh, well, I want to touch on another thing in verse 5. It says, and touch not the ground. And the he-goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And when it goes in, he touched not the ground, it's speaking about the swiftness that Alexander had when it came to taking down these empires.
Right.
He said his feet touched not the ground. He took over these empires in the course of 6 to 8 years. That was quick, you know? And he took over what he thought to be the whole earth. You know, but
Philip, and tell you how Philip, we watched the movie Alexander the Great. Philip tried, he was trying to figure out how he was going to take the Persians, but he never did.
He wanted it first.
He wanted it first, yeah.
We went into that in class at one point. Philip set Alexander up for success.
yeah.
The phalanx in Alexander, that's Philip. A lot of that conquest and the army that Alexander inherited
Fights
was
down.
built by Philip.
It was already conquered.
It was already set up. Kind of like King David and Solomon. King David did the heavy lifting. Solomon came into something that was established and made it great.
Right.
That's what Philip and Alexander, when you deal with Philip II, his objective was to conquer Persia, but he didn't have the wherewithal, and then he got assassinated. But Alexander came in and he was already trained from a child in military combat, in military strategy. So he just came in with the already developed army, and his feet ain't touched the ground.
Philip is speaking about his father, Alexander's
Yeah, Philip
father.
II, that's his father.
That's his father. Philip the second of Macedon. That's Alexander's father.
Daniel 8, verse 6. And he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his two horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him.
Now that choler, when you get into that word, it means anger. You know, when you go into what was happening during this time, Alexander and Darius, they were sending letters to one another. And Darius is trying to appease to Alexander, like, hey, look, let's do a joint empire. Let's
Yeah, he did that.
let's come together. You know, you don't have to take over the whole empire. I'll give you this. You try to come with gifts. But Alexander, he wasn't having it. He was trying to conquer everything. He was trying to be the ruler of everything.
And that's cool because it show you that in Maccabees, they was trying to get Judas them to join them.
Yeah.
I think it was it Ptolemy? I think it was Ptolemy trying to get Judas them to join them to go against this guy, Antiochus and them. Yeah. They tried to buy Judas them off. Judas Maccabees them to fight against him. Yeah. But go ahead, you guys.
And if I may say as well, because again, when you look into that history, you know, with the back and forth, like again, during this time, Alexander, he was conquering. And that's why he won those joint parties, he won none of that.
Right.
Darius, he kind of had like a proud spirit on him, but even his own guys were like, look, man, let's just make a deal with these But they conquered. But the Lord had a certain spirit on Alexander. That's why it said here with that chola, he moved with chola against him. Yeah, that bitter, that anger. Yeah, it was a different spirit on Alexander. It was all on the Lord.
And for the record, the Darius that Alexander fought wasn't Darius the Great. It was Darius the Third. But there was more than one Darius during rulership. Just as a reference. You got it.
And it's another significance in verse 6. I forgot. It's another significance in verse 6 when it says, which I had seen standing before the river and ran unto him in the fear of his power. And there was a river separating Darius' his province and Alexander's province. So at that time, Darius thought, hey, they ain't gonna be able to cross that river and get over here to conquer. So that was part of that. That's a part of that significance as well in verse 6. Talk about it.
Verse 7 again. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his two horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken. And for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven.
Oh, right. So when he waxed great, when Alexander came to the peak of his empire, he died.
What is the noble one that was broken? Why did it break?
God.
Moved too little too fast.
Yeah, my bad.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And some say that Alexander died of malaria or some syphilis, some sexual disease. But
Either way,
he got taken down.
Lord called his number. Punch the ticket in. You got it.
It says therefore, you got it.
Verse 8 again. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken. And for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven.
Now those 4 notable ones we spoke about earlier. Yeah, those 4 generals. It says, do y'all remember what the names were without looking?
Repetition is the father's skills.
Ptolemy, Lasamakis, Seleucus, and Descent. So, yeah. Alright, you got it.
Verse 9.
Verse 9.
And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great, toward the south and toward the east and toward the pleasant land.
Now that little horn, who is this?
Antiochus Epiphanes.
Yes, sir, it is. What line did he come out of?
which general? Which general they?
4.
Which one of them?
Which general?
Oh, which one of the generals?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Verse 10.
It says, it's like,
Read it again.
Verse 9 again. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great, toward the south.
toward the south. Where is that going toward? Yes, sir.
Say that again a little louder, please.
Egypt. And toward the east.
Toward the east.
And toward the east.
Toward the east. Which countries are these? Yep.
And toward the pleasant
No,
land.
it's more on that too. Not Yerushalayim, not yet. Toward the east is speaking about Armenia, Persia, and the countries beyond the Euphrates. Precept of that is 2 Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 31.
Let's get it. I got it. It's 2 Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 31. Then straightway certain of Heliodorus' friends prayed Onias that he would call upon the Most High to grant him his life, who lay ready to give up the ghost. So the high priest, suspecting lest the king should misconceive that some treachery had been done to Heliodorus by the Jews, offered a sacrifice for the health of the man. Now
That's not it. You see what it says. You see what it says.
in verse 31. Wherefore, being greatly perplexed in his mind, he determined.
You got the point he was looking for?
Yeah.
Okay, it's right.
This first Maccabees 3:31. Wherefore, being greatly perplexed in his mind, he determined to go into Persia, there to take the tributes of the countries, and to gather much money. So he left Lysias, a nobleman, and one of the blood royal, to oversee the affairs of the king from the river Euphrates unto the borders of Egypt.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
You got it back in our Daniel.
Back in Daniel chapter 8, verse 9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land.
And that
Well, that's
blessing.
pleasant. That's not
You good. Who are the main inhabitants of Jerusalem during this time concerning our nation? The southern kingdom. You have Levi, Benjamin, and Judah. You got it, bro.
Verse 10. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them.
Who are the stars that was cast down? Specific. Got it.
Verse 11. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down.
Prince of the host. Who is this speaking about? Yes, it's the high priest. Now this time Onias was the high priest in Israel. We can read about that in 2 Maccabees. But when it says he magnified himself even to the priest of the host, speaking about the high priest of Israel. It says, and by him the daily sacrifice, right? And by him the daily sacrifice is taken away, and the place of the sanctuary was cast down. This is during the time when they ransacked the kingdom. Ransacked the temple. You got it.
Verse 12. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Then I heard one.
I got a precept to back that up. This is First Maccabees, chapter 2, and I'll start at 6. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, Woe is me, wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom, and gotten of her spoils? All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman she has become a bondservant.
Verse 13. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, How long shall the vision be? How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot?
What he just said, that point. Read it again.
Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto
This is talking about the Maccabees. Read it with the brother, just read. First Maccabees chapter 2, start at 1. Tell you that they was pissed off. That's what Joseph was doing. Go ahead.
And another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot?
Right. And this is important because when you deal with the high priest in the sanctuary, the high priest is our direct connection with Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So the high priest is very important when it came to our nation. So when he came against the high priest, he set up, I think it was Jason, when he set up that sellout in that stead, it hurt us. It hurt us.
Verse 14, and he said unto me, Unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. And it came to pass when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought.
You know the days?
Yeah. So it says say it again.
And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall be the sanctuary be cleansed.
It's 2,300 days. It's going into 6 years and 3 months.
Beautiful.
When you add that up, it's 6 years and 3 months.
There you go.
That's right.
So that's going into the Syrian war.
Right.
So it went from Antiochus and his beginning of the Syrian war to the rededication of the temple. So we deal with the Maccabees and them rededicating the temple. So that's that time period. Beautiful.
We can get that account in 2 Maccabees 4 too.
That's what I was saying. In John 10, they what is it? Feast of
Dedication.
Feast of dedication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Feast of Dedication, basically.
That's in John 10th chapter.
Because it was a rededication of the temple being cleansed from all of that folly.
4 and I see 21. 4 and 21.
The second Maccabees, 4 and 21. Now when Apollonius, the son of Menestius, was sent into Egypt for the coronation of King Ptolemy, Philometor, Antiochus, understanding him not to be well affected to his affairs, provided for his own safety. Whereupon he came to Joppa, and from thence to Jerusalem, where he was honorably received of Jason and of the city, and was brought in with torch alight and with great shouting. And so afterward went with his host unto Phoenice. 3 years afterward, Jason sent Menelaus, the aforesaid Simon's brother, to bear the money unto the king, and to put him in mind of the certain necessary matters. But he being brought to the presence of the king, when he had magnified him for the glorious appearance of his power, got the priesthood to himself, offering more than Jason by 300 talents of silver. And this shows you the wickedness. At that point, they was buying the office. It was the high priest, the office of high priest was just going to the highest bidder. This is, man, but he being brought to the presence of the king, we had magnified him for the glorious appearance of his power, meaning he kissed his ass, got the priesthood to himself, offering more than Jason by 300 talents of silver. So he came with the king's mandate, bringing nothing worthy the high priesthood, but having the fury of a cruel tyrant and the rage of a savage beast. Want me to keep going up? Then Jason, who had undermined his own brother, being undermined by another, was compelled to flee into the country of the Ammonites. So Menelaus got the principality, but as for the money that he had promised unto the king, he took no good order for it, albeit Sostratus, the ruler of the castle, required it. For unto him appertained the gathering of the customs, wherefore they were both called before the king.
That's it on that.
So going back to, what was that verse? Yeah, so verse 14, when you deal with those, that 2,300 days that goes into the 6 years of the, let me get the official name, I believe it's the 6th Syrian war.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I just want to,
I was just mentioning that about a couple of about looking into it. We're going to study it.
it's the
James
6th,
11th chapter.
the 6th Syrian war.
James 11th chapter.
Yeah, because we go to Daniel 11, that's going to be the Syrian war. Just, Lord willing, we'll get to that one.
But right now, it ain't deep right now.
Back in Daniel chapter 8, verse 15. And it came to pass, when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man, and I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So he came.
And then from this point on, it basically surmises the vision of what he saw.
Yeah, that was the point, basically. What verse you at?
16.
You can get a little deep.
Read.
Stop right there.
Real quick, I want to get, so when you deal with the 6th Syrian war,
Salakia correction. You go back into verse 14 when it says they shall cleanse, the sanctuary shall be cleansed. The precept of that is 1 Maccabees 4:36. I'm gonna read it right now. It says, "This said Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up and cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary."
Beautiful.
That's the precept
Beautiful.
to that verse. Not 2 Maccabees, 1 Maccabees 4:36.
Y'all got any questions?
What was the one saint speaking to the other saint again?
Those are angels.
Angels.
Yeah, those are angels. Those are the little saints. So basically what you saw was two angels speaking to each other.
Now, you can also refer that to Maccabee. When you read in First Maccabee 2, starting at 1, it talks about it. You know what I'm saying? Let's read it real quick. Get First Maccabee 2, start at 1.
Second Maccabees?
Yeah, First Maccabee.
First Maccabees.
2 and 1.
First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simon, a priest of the sons.
See, go back to that priest. Like you say, that host, that prince of the host. Go ahead.
From Jerusalem and dwelt in Modin.
Right?
And he had 5 sons, Joan called Cadiz, Simon called Lasai, Judas, who was called Maccabeus, Eleazar called Aaron, and Jonathan, whose surname was Abus. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, "Woe is me!
See? Go ahead.
Wherefore was I born to see the misery of my people,
Right?
and of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy."
So when you see in Daniel, when it said the saint spake to another saint saying, "How long?" It goes into that too. Read it again.
He said, "Woe is me! Wherefore was I born to see the misery of my people, and of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers.
Right?
Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets."
One more time. Go back up to the point right after the name. One more time.
In verse 7, he said, "Woe is me! Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people, and of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and its sanctuary into the hand of strangers."
Go ahead. Now jump back down where you was at.
Her temple is become as a man without glory.
Right?
Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy.
Go ahead.
What nation have not had a part in her
Jump down to
kingdom?
like 2 verses. But to tell you that they came together and said what they was going to do. When they go into killing, they killed those Jews that consented with Antiochus Epiphanes. You see it? Like a verse 2 down, one of that. Read what you got right
Verse
there.
12. It says, "And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it.
Right?
To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer?"
See? This is one saint speaking to another. Go ahead.
Then Mattathias and his sons rent their clothes and put on
See?
sackcloth
Go ahead.
and mourned very sore.
Right?
In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city Modin to make them sacrifice. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias on this wise, "Thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren.
Right?
Now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done.
Right.
Yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem, so shall thou and thine house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards."
See? Go ahead.
Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall away everyone from the religion of their fathers and give consent to his commandments,
That's what you tell the southern kingdom, hey, come out of that. Go ahead.
yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
Go ahead.
God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left.
Well, that's us today, man. Spiritually. Go ahead.
Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar, which was outmoded according to the king's commandment, which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled, neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment.
Right.
Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar.
Hey, and there's more. Read the next one.
Also the king's commissioner, who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time,
He killed them too. Go ahead.
and the altar he pulled down.
Yeah, that was Jay. Nah, we ain't going for that. Just like right now, spiritually, man. But yeah, that was the point on that.
The Maccabean spirit.
Yeah, man. Close that up. We had
so-
something else though.
Now, one more thing.
Yeah.
So we go to Daniel 8 and 14. Yeah.
Daniel 8:14. And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed.
Now what is that?
Beautifying the temple.
So that's the what's the war? Six period. And that was a 6-year period. So you deal with that. That's 6 years. Now, what did we say the year for? 164. Now, when you actually look at the time period, it's from when the war started to when Antioch died. That was that area. And after that said, and I want to get the account real quick because it shows you that right after Antiochus died, the temples were there.
Right.
So this is 2nd Ezra 9. And I'll start at Second Maccabees 9, and I just hit the point. So I'm gonna jump to 2 and then I'm gonna jump down. Second Maccabees 9, I start at 1. About that time came Antiochus with dishonor out of the country of Persia. We had entered the city called Persepolis and went about to rob the temple and to hold the city, whereupon the multitude running to defend themselves with their weapons put them to flight. And so it happened that Antiochus, being put to flight of the inhabitants, returned with shame. I'm going to jump down to verse 4. Then swelling with anger, he thought to avenge upon the Jews the disgrace done unto him by those that made him flee. So he was coming back to take it out on Jacob. Therefore commanded he his chariotmen to drive without ceasing, and to dispatch the journey, the judgment of Yahweh Shai now following him. For he had spoken proudly in this sort, that he would come to Jerusalem and make it a common burying place of the Jews. Meaning he was about to slaughter. Yeah. Verse 5, but the Lord Almighty, the power of Yasher Allah, smote him with an incurable and invisible plague, or as soon as he had spoken these words, a pain of the bowels that was remediless came upon him, and sore torments of inner parts, and that most justly, for he had tormented other men's bowels with many and strange torments. Howbeit he nothing at all ceased in his bragging, but still was filled with pride, breathing out fire in his rage against the Jews, and commanding to haste the journey. But it came to pass that he fell down from his chariot, carried violently, so that having a sore fall, all the members of his body were much pain. And thus he that a little afore thought he might command the waves of the sea, So proud was he beyond the condition of man, and weighed the high mountains in a balance, was now cast on the ground, and carried in a horse litter, showing forth unto all the manifest power of Yahweh Shah. Man, I'm gonna jump down to the point. This is verse 28. Thus the murderer and blasphemer, having suffered most grievously as he entreated other men, so died he a miserable death in a strange country, in the mountains. And Philip that was brought up with him carried away his body, who also carried the son of Antiochus, went into Egypt to Ptolemais Philometor. Now when you go into 2 Maccabees 10, I'll just give the first 3 verses. Now Maccabeus and his company, the Lord guiding them, recovered the temple and the city, with the altars which the heathen had built in the open street, and also the chapels they pulled down. And having cleansed the temple, they made another altar, and striking stones, they took fire out of them, and offered a sacrifice after 2 years, and set forth incense, and lights, and shewbread. So you see, after the death of Antiochus, the Lord allowed the temple to be cleansed. Going into prophecy. So it shows you the power of the Lord, especially when you go through history, and you look at these prophecies that are already accomplished, down to the numbers. That's why our faith is reassured by the records. If the Lord did it for us then, the Lord willing to do it for us now. But that's it on that. That's all I have. Man, that was beautiful. You got our
Yeah. This is Revelation 3 and verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth.
Okay, so we remember our forefathers. Abraham, we went over that. We went over the Maccabees. They had to stand up in the Spirit of the Lord and have faith on the Lord. We have to take that record and have hope in this life that we can accomplish the same thing in the Spirit. We have a willing mind and we obedient to the will of the Heavenly Father.
Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast as thou hast, that no man take thy crown.
And so with that, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory
To Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, HaKadosh.
Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yahshua, and a sincere salutation to all you Aki, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Aqua who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Shalom. Shalom.
Hey, blessings, brother.
Bless.
Shema Shah continue to bless you in your houses, stay prayed up. While we're tuning in, go out for the precepts. Shalom.
Shalom.
Let's go.
Wake up, Jacob.